Alright, on to the Rift. Game 1 starts. Hey, TT getting some love here over in Shenzhen. Reminder, we're playing in NIP's arena for this part of playoffs. So this, I think, in playoffs in general, actually. So we did see some early wards go down. We saw some wards put onto TT's Raptors. Now, JDG do tend to have quite aggressive early game jungle pathing plans. So keep your eyes on Ginger to see if you can get anything done on the Lee Sin early, especially against a Vi who can't really do that much at the early levels of the game. It's a bad front step from Arn, taking a heavy auto attack from Gala, missing his first 2 Qs of the game as far as I'm aware as well. Potential 3 camp into bot side gank from Ginger. There's wards both put down in the pixel bush here. Ginger, about 2/3 HP. Stops his recall briefly, actually. I think Arn and Feather know that there's a timer here, and also a timer for Lucian to jump beyond the wave 2 on cooldown. Junhao is spotted on Raptors. JDG will have confirmation that the Vi is going top to bot. Nice little Q there from Feather. Gala looked for the jump forwards, couldn't land it there at this time. Let's get the heavy auto attack after there, though. Again, the vigilance passive is what really gives Lucian the sting in lane. Once we get into mid game, that's where things get really interesting between these two teams, because both teams have very quick snap engage. I'm missing a few minions here now, actually. Needs to get a little bit more locked in on that. Noticing already that Arn probably should be 5 CS ahead. Much easier for the Caitlyn to get CS ahead of the Lucian than, of course, the other way around, but no surprises there. Now, Heru, a player who I had overlooked a little bit coming out of Group Nirvana. Of course, TT are a Group Nirvana team. We don't have that much gameplay to talk about in terms of comparing them to Group Ascend. But Heru, a player who I actually think has been remarkably fine. And despite the fact that he's against Honky, he's got himself something like a Rise, a champion which he's fairly comfortable on. I think he can give us a good show here. Now, I still expect Honky to get the better of the entire game. But Heru, now's your chance to actually prove that you can hang with the best people in here. Ward cleared out, and bot side Junhao just gets a full clear off. Would like to get a recall in because Ginger has done that for a longsword himself. Keshi, one of the most entertaining players on TT. I think that Keshi was battled by people like Sheer, and he largely lost out against the very best top laners in Nirvana, which I think Sheer was one of them. Of course, they lost their own best of 5. Did LNG coming out of Group Nirvana, whereas TT won. But if you look to the individual matchup, you know, Keshi, or Keshi, he's got a castle I hit. Was very, very good at aggressive playmaking, even if it wasn't something like the Cassante, which, of course, many top laners have done over the years, but the amount of nerfs that champions had, you don't always expect that. I mean, I'm just noticing that TT are missing a fair few minions across every lane here, actually. Unforced errors. Gotta lock in on that. Heru actually faking out I like that. Heru actually faked a ward going over onto Raptors there. And as you can see, he's actually put it over the other side of mid instead, just in that similar kind of space. But he's not warded Raptors. He's actually warded just across mid lane there too. A little bit of body language can sometimes make a big difference. So, to be fair, Alex, if a pro isn't comfortable on Rise, they shouldn't be on stage. Well, this is a larger question. If, you know, sometimes the meta can just completely destroy you. You know, sometimes you come onto stage first time as a pro player. Harry's a very a rookie player, right? For the LPL anyway. Now, what happens if it was an Aurelia meta, not a Rise player? Two completely different kinds of champions. Back in 2018, you had to be an Aurelia player as a mid laner. Not so anymore. Stuff like Akali's coming in and out of meta. Ari since 2022's come into the fore. Not everyone was as proficient as that as others. Yone, Galio. Mid lane has a whole host of different champions. So Junhao has gone for his first back, and he's got himself Longsword and the Ruby Crystal. Sounds like Pinky in the Brain. No, it doesn't, but it's the you know, the noun and the noun. Junhao coming in towards this dragon. Teleport coming in from Twisted Fates. Shouldn't really be able to do much. I think he's just doing this to come back towards mid lane, although JJ is walking across. Chance of something interesting happening here now. So they walk up towards the dragon. It's going to be gone by the time they get there. There they go. All right, Junhao. Easy first dragon take. Nothing big happening here so far. Good E there from Arn. Will Get his follow-up auto attack shielded by Vampire, though. Now, TT are a team which have pretty much always been underdogs for the entirety of their existence. Now, I saw them make playoffs for, I believe it was only the first time in TT's history, maybe the second time in their lineage's history, of making playoffs in 2023 spring. That was when UCal was on just something else. He was on something else. And then they couldn't follow that up with a similar result in Summit. That was when they had the UCal roster, then 1XN joined later. You know, TT, a team which has always been a very ambitious team with the way that they play, but they haven't always had the star power to kind of back that up across all roles. Junja now going in towards red buff, level 6 hit by both junglers. Junhao walking over. Does need to be a little bit careful of the Twisted Fate coming in. Blast Shield has been activated from Junhao here. Q comes through. Good smite there from Junhao. Won't lose the buff. Vampire was roaming up to the play, as was Feather, so both teams knew that the play was coming in at that point and moved their supports to make a difference. Gold is very even here. We're getting towards the point now, though, that we need to be careful of watching where Twisted Fate is going. Potential of Vampire actually walking to get... Ooh, that's nice there. Gets the CC on. At least there's a good headshot back from RB. See the threat which Milio has with the Lucian. How many R's is Ambessa going to land this game? The thing is, it'll look great until Mikhails is brought in from Feather, and then it's going to get a little bit more difficult. Because you have one very solid bit of CC, which is your gold card, and outside of that, very difficult. The more I look at this from JDG, actually, the less that I think it's easy for them to play, because it is all gold card dependent. It is all on Honky. Now, Honky is a very good Twisted Fate player. Like I said, I think he's top 2 in the world on Twisted Fate. But if he doesn't land the gold card onto the right target, or it's Mikhail's away from, of course, later on, it's very difficult to actually land the engage. You know, Ambessa's ultimate has been slowed down. It's going to be quite hard for them to freeball their ultimate. Might be able to get a Lee Sin kick, but then again, you're still going into, you know, a Rise and a Vi, which can cancel you out. Not the most CC to cancel out Lee Sin Q, but there is some there. Oh, 90 stream streak. Thank you so much, by the way, Mecha. I missed that earlier. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. And Giassas, appreciate the follow as well. If anyone else is enjoying themselves watching the stream here. Oh, hang on, there's a potential Cullen coming forwards. Great hide around the corner there from Feather. Feather ends up getting the barrier out and the ult out of Vampire, actually. Cullen now coming through. Feather will come through with that. Can they get themselves a trap on target? They can. I'm not sure the damage is going to be there. Flash forwards from Gala. Junhao manages to pick up the kill. Currently a 1-for-1, but Gala's going to die afterwards. Great response, actually, from Arn. And Feather going to gift the kill over towards the Rise, who would ghost it down towards the plate. So Honky would use that ultimate to try and get back those kills onto bot lane. Does get one onto the Caitlyn. That is important. But a kill back towards the mid jungle is good from TT. Good response. Not getting caught sleeping there. Jayhaz, I actually think that Jachi's been pretty good at points too. If you watch back on some of his top esports games, right? If you got out of lane, Jachi was very, very good even on top esports. And even if you look back towards RNG, he's actually been pretty good. I think that's a complete fair assessment of the Jachi Mako lane there. I mean, it's a good trap on top of the landing point from Honky. I do wonder whether Honky could have backed off a little bit. Quite aggressive for his positioning, but if he got a little bit more conservative, chance that the Vi Rise turn up early. Important note here is that Junhao didn't have to use his ult for this play. Do you know if LPL is keeping last patch for playoffs or whether they're on the new patch? I'll let you know when I see. I'll let you know when I see. I believe it's on 2610. I believe it's on 2610. And I'm also, and what that tends to mean is that you stay on playoffs, stay on the same patch for the entirety of playoffs. Okay, so Honky has himself that Rod of Ages. Haru stopped off for the Merc Treads first, so he doesn't get gold carded quite as easily. Top lane very even so far. Both have the unlocked teleport now, the unleashed teleport. Would you say that TT has late game if Caitlyn can keep up with the Lucian? Late game is more on execution than the actual champion picks, right? Because if someone's out of position, they get Lee Sin kicked or they get gold carded away from the Mikhails, then TT do fall apart. However, I do think that TT, if it's in a full-on 5v5, probably do have the advantage. It's easier for Vi to have value over the Lee Sin. If Rumble gets a good equalizer against this kind of squishy team, that's one way to lose most of your HP bars. I guess the Lux is a bit more of a worry than anyone else on TT. Starting up with the second dragon now. TT, I mean, credit to them. This has been a very measured early game. And it's been very considered. They haven't fallen into JDG's, you know, they haven't fallen prey to Junja's Lee Sin. They are heading over now, though. This could be the big play. Junja's walking over. Can he get the smite down? Yes, he can, despite the Q not being there. They're going to combo onto him. Does a flash forward there from Vampire, kick over the wall. I think Junja might die here. Anyway, Realm up forwards, trying to come out from Heru. Junhao going to get onto Gala as well. The fight is going in the way of TT. The Dragon didn't, and Bess is now in the play. Can he get enough work done? Probably not, with Junhao landing another good Q in there. More CC. Honky has flash, does have the ult too. I'm not sure he can get away from this one. Flash away from the Vi, ace in the whole lands, and I think with that, he might have made himself out to safety. No, another flash comes through, this time from Kashi, and TT take a huge fight around the Dragon. The only good thing which happens there from JDG is the fact that Junja gets the smite. Besides that, you are now walking away with the 3-kill Vi, a 3-kill Rise, and we were just saying, hey, JDG, the execution you comp pretty hard. Honky, we've been talking up about his Twisted Fates. Doesn't get much value in there. Junja dying very early too. You know, the Lee Sin early on wants to get huge damage down. It's a good smite coming out from Junja. Then the problem is that he's basically got no HP to work with. Harry gets into melee range. He's got himself the Merc Treads too, so quite hard really for people to make the most of that. Has to flash forwards, but does get a little bit more damage onto Junja. Does the Deathfire touch kill? What kills Junja at the end? Guess Harry just walks at him and kills him eventually. Crazy fight from here comes the Twisted Fate. There you go. Better play from Honky this time. Gets out onto the map. Wants to equalize the next wave. Will manage to get a bit of that down. It's not great actually coming through from that ultimate from Kashi. Won't even get most of that wave. This is the problem with playing about JDG. They always have another play lined up on the whole. Harry needs to be a little bit careful of a kick coming through here now. Chance of Junja getting onto him. Does manage to get a bit of damage there. Harry actually popping the ghost very early, making sure that there's no ward hop play into the kick from Junja. RIP EuroLeague after the final episode. Yeah, for those of you that didn't catch it, Rich is basically getting big on terms of sports social media in terms of his own TikToks accounts and stuff. So he's stepping away from League of Legends now for a bit. He's still within League, but he's stepping away from EuroLeague. There is a chance that EuroLeague returns with a different host, an editor basically. But we shall see on that front really. Arn and Feather now actually a little bit ahead in terms of gold compared to Gala and Vampire. Feather trying to do his best to body block there. The Caitlyn Lux, it's not really delivered on the whole lane dominance thing, but it has kept Gala and Vampire at play. Perhaps that's worth enough in itself. Junhao is so ungodly fed here too. Look how much gold he is up over Junja. You know, there's a whole, you know, it's over a phage worth of gold, which is 1250. Yeah, I think the equalizer on top side, for those of you who, for those chatting about it, I think it was there basically because he thought he might die if he held it any longer. He knew he wasn't going to hit much of the wave, but it was just meant to stop there being, you know, a bunch of tower plates going down, which sadly it did anyway. I think he thought he was going to die before the equalizer would be in range to hit the wave proper. And you can see there, 3 plates now taken on top, so I could eclipse trade there from Xiaoshu as well. Is that a -1? I don't think it was, actually. I think he was okay on that one. 800 gold ahead is Xiaoshu. Now, Xiaoshu player came in as second all-pro top laner from this split on the Ambassador, which he's done a lot of damage with before. Hera looking to make a big play here, though, as we said. Now, the guy's a pretty good Rise player. Going to try and walk into the top lane brush. Onq doesn't have his ultimate available just yet. Of course, the thing to remember here is that, of course, while there is a Twisted Fate ultimate as a global, Rise is there on the other side too. Does Xiaoshu want to walk up and check for a recall? No, he doesn't. Good auto attack there again from Gala. Doing quite well here. Into the Caitlyn. Despite the fact that Arn is now very far ahead with that bot lane turret taken, the CS is not where this lead came from. It's not from individual lane dominance. Now, Herald's being started from JDG. Do TT feel like they can make a play when they don't have map setup for the start of the objective? Maybe they can slowly work their way over. Kashi would have to teleport up. Xiaoshu is already on top side. Yeah, they're teleporting in. Herald getting quite low here. I think Junja might back off. Looking for the Q still, maybe. Does the kick come through? They're trying to combo him again. Junja, flash for the cleanse away from Vampire, but that does mean that Herald goes down. Vampire has to blow that summoner again. Ultimate does land for the Ambassador, can't kill Herald. Another gold card on target. It's looking pretty good from TT. GDG are not playing very well around the Lee Sin at all. It's a double kill for the Caitlyn. Ana's now 3-1, and TT have won both fights in the early game. They get themselves the Herald. They don't have the Dragon advantage just yet, but with the Dragon spawning in just a few seconds, they might just have that too. JDG, the mid jungle is not really doing as promised, is it? It's not delivering on that promise. So Rumble comes in. Junhao credits him, realizes how strong he is. He realizes he can fly with a level advantage, level 2 ultimate against the Lee Sin. Vampire, you know, he flashes in for a cleanse, but the fact that the Milio has to flash for a cleanse is a problem in the first place. He's done that twice now. Vampire's getting some quite good value out of that stop Junja from insta-dying, but it doesn't save the fight. Now, Junja ends up living, but there's still the cost of the fight and of the Herald. Junja not going to be able to get himself a play onto Ana over the wall there. Second Dragon will go to TT. They're 4k ahead. And we said, hey, TT, you got to sucker punch JDG. And I think they have done. They really have done. We're only 17 minutes into the game. 4k up. I think a better composition in terms of ease of access in terms of CC. And they've got the Dragon advantage now too. I mean, yes, Xiaoxu is fed, and if there's a really good Junja kick, perhaps JDG can just skirmish their way back into position. But now that the Lee Sin is 2k down against a Vi that will outvalue you for the entirety of the game, it's a very difficult scenario for JDG. Honkyu tried to look for his early ultimates to see if he could snowball the map. Couldn't quite do so. He's looking for a blue trinket to see if he was up against a recalling Rise. With the amount of HP on the Rise and the upgraded Merc Treads, I don't think they can do much to him. This is one of the problems about Rise versus TF as well, or any aggressive combo versus the TF, versus the Rise, sorry, versus the Rise. It's too tanky. It's too tanky to do much against on a side lane. You know, if you were there as a Twisted Fate versus even an Orianna or, you know, a squishier mage, your problem. Keshi's now hanging off of mid lane. Do they want to do something here? The Q lands, perhaps play to be made. Keshi, I think knowing that bot lane outer turret is down and there's a Twisted Fate ready for the ultimate, that's a good call there, actually. Now Harold summoned in mid lane. Harry is actually ghosting over to make sure he's in position. TT are very respectful of where JDG can make a play on the map. I'm liking this from TT. They look alive. Tara's going to go down here. Root lands onto Honky, forcing the ult out of the Milio, who's had to be on defensive duty a lot. That's a good roast. Very close to a kill onto Junja. The death right touch ticks, burns. And there's going to be a drive-by kill from Junhao. This is a slaughter from TT. 3 dead already from JDG. And the Realm Warp will get them away out of trouble as well. Awesome play as the third play of the early game goes in the favor of Thunder Talk here in their first round of playoffs. You know, TT already upset IG, and we were wondering, look, Group Nirvana teams, they're surely not that good. And then we saw, you know, the first team fall. IG get 3-0'd, and then the day after that, another 2 fell. NIP, Weibo, and IG all falling at the hands of the IG of the Nirvana teams that came in their way. TT were the ones which led the charge first. Junhao has had an exceptional game on the Vi. Every fight it has been very good start to the plate, finding out an isolated target in which the Rise and Feather, of course, too, can make a big difference. Of course, Feather here too. It has a great Lux game. Have not seen LPL in a while. Is TT is TT the real deal? Now, the thing is, we watch a lot of LPL here, and we still don't know the answer to that. This is actually the kind of series which perhaps might prove that. Now, TT are a team which has forever been on the cusp of playoffs, but never really beyond a round 1 team. And, you know, this is still game 1 of the series. There's a lot to be proven here still. But TT in this year, you know, they brought in on... this year, of course, they replaced the outgoing 1xN, who has been a huge part of their roster since 2023. Junhao came over from Ultra Prime. A lot of other players came in from about different parts of the LDL to try and rebuild something. After what was, you know, a decent set of players, but they'd reached their peak, really. And with Beichuan going, with Hoya going, with 1xn going, UCal leaving the year before that. It's quite hard for TT to build on anything. They see the Xiaoxu just hanging over the wall. JDG would love a slapback fight. If they don't get themselves one soon, this game is going to be very much out of control. You need a TF ult and someone isolated. But I just look at the way that TT are moving. Pushing, regrouping. Push quickly, regroup. JDG need to catch them on the push when they're isolated, while the TF can still have some value. He's got that Lich Bane and the Rod of Ages. It is all down to Honkyu. And, you know, we've been saying that he's one of the best Twisted Fates in the world, but he's currently 2k down, despite the fact that that is almost 200 procs of his passive being added into him as well. Oh yeah, for sure. TT definitely did lock out with some of the pickups on this roster. I think BLG Junior were the LDL team to go towards when looking for Chinese prospects in this offseason. And Heru and Junhao both come from there. There's Twisted Fate coming in towards mid lane. Good route onto him. Flash away from Arn, though. That's the flash away from the Caitlyn. That's what JDG were really looking for. Dragon's coming up now. Teleport coming through from Keshi. Does he want to look for an early equalizer? No. Junja is going to get roasted a little bit over here. Does get that smite. Doesn't mean it does mean that he can't heal off of that now. He'll have to heal off the Krugs instead. Flash down on the Caitlyn. That was the big play JDG were looking for. Can't quite land it. Good E there on Donkey, actually. Feather's been doing very well at marking the landing point. Doesn't have the Mikhails, by the way. Went for the Shirelias. Decided to say, look, okay, it's not going to be about the one stun. It's about repositioning instead. Haru now over the wall. Wants to maybe look at Junja. Q lands from the Lee Sin. No Honkyu ultimate to make sure that he can kind of reposition himself in the fight. That's that's a hell of a lot of damage. Haru might just kill Junja outright. Junja really struggling, and that's going to be the Caitlyn to very nearly kill him. That's going to be the Rise ultimate into the back line. He's gone quite isolated as Haru, but he kills Gala anyway. Slaughters him as Honkyu goes down on the front side of the fight. With 2 kills, Junja also being low and having to recall, TT might just rush the Baron now. Heru and Junhao have had a spectacular game. 10 kills between the both of them in the mid jungle, and the Baron will go down as well. Keshi needs to be a little bit afraid of the Ambassador ult, will flash away from it. TT have been respecting the map movement so well. They've come in very drilled. They understand what threat the Twisted Fate can have. It's not easy to play a whole high-pressure game against a team like JDG, who are great at finding that one play that gets them back into the game. Junja's Lee Sin has just not impressed here. He's got that one smite early, but he's done nothing. No ganks, no big objective fights, no big kicks. He's survived. And that's been it. Ends up living just about there, as we were saying. The equalizer went on to Honkyu, who was caught at the start of this as Feather caught him out of the play. And Gala gets just eviscerated. Just eviscerated. Heru, knowing how much tankiness he has and how much damage he's got through to us, he's got a 10-stack Dark Seal. TT outdrafted JDG. How did they get both Rumble and Rise? So what JDG did was they took the Lee Sin away from the Rise Lee Sin combo without realizing that Junhao was still very happy to go towards the Vi. Now in terms of the full best of 5, there is still a chance that Junhao runs out of champions now that the Lee Sin is off the table. You know, he can play the Neferi. There's the Shinzao and the Jarvan as well, which really remember him doing some big work on. But in terms of games, champions, he can really take over the early game and the mid game team fights on. Now, Vi and Lee Sin, particularly for him, very big. Oh, he slipped out of vision here a little bit. They find him. Nope, topped away from there now. Again, great marking from TT. Q goes wide from the Lux. On still no flash. There's a bit of a threat there, but the Mikhails is now built up from Feather, so the next gold card of any threat which lands. There's a really good spell flux in there. Vampire ulting early. Scared Milio, scared support player, pops that ult early just for the healing. Oh, ultimate missing from Xiaoxu. Thought they could maybe get a 4v5, but Keshi wasn't in position, but they end up missing their big play. Keshi can now push in mid lane with the Baron buff and walk back down. Perhaps they should have tried to go on to Keshi. If they did, though, maybe they lose themselves the bot lane in here. JDG have been found wanting. TT have read their map movements. That's the biggest thing about this is Honkyu. No Zhonya's for him or anything, and that means he'll be going into a grave instead of going golden. TT take themselves a huge Baron power play. They're going to walk in with the last wave of the Baron and probably break the base here. Junhao, an excellent engage once again. TT, what a wonderful game of League of Legends from them. They have marked every possible angle for the Twisted Fate, every possible angle for the Lee Sin. The Equalizer goes down to force JDG away from the towers. TT take the first of the Nexus towers. Perhaps they can even get themselves a second one. Caitlyn continues to auto-attack. There, Junja gets himself a kick. There you go, on to Arn, but Lee Sin will die for the other side of it. Arn getting good damage back will tank the tower, but the tower goes down. The Nexus is bare. There's a teleport. What is that person doing? Teleporting about 5 foot back towards the base. TT will sucker punch JDG and take game 1. That is ridiculous. TT come out. All right, into game. Let's hear ourselves as Gyos. Okay, so wards down on the Raptors again. Junha, what he's going to do, he's going to start on the camp that's warded, so at least he can kind of leave it a little bit later. I don't believe there are any Gyos this time, actually. They turn the mics on, no Gyos for that. JDG's crowd going silent, and perhaps the mic's not picking them up. E-start from Xiaoxu, E-start from Keshi, both in trying to go for that extra mobility. Pycook missing there from Vampire. Got to be careful about that Q accuracy. Ezreal Bard, if it escapes the early levels, can be a bit of a threat. Xiaoxu, good double E trade there. In fact, it's the empowered E for the extra damage and armor shred on the way out. Not that he doesn't need damage with the armor shred, but hey. People forget that about Renekton, actually, because you never really use the empowered E. The empowered E is really nice for the armor shred. People forget about that, though, in terms of casual players watching it. Now, I was saying that Ahri, pretty hard matchup into the Orianna, you can see that. Orianna just has more damage than you. She has more damage than you. Harry, not bad on the Q poke there, though. Big thing about this matchup is getting that Q poke down. Want to use that W to avoid the combos, couldn't quite get it. Need to be much more accurate than that. Harry is such an unforgiving lane. Look at it, so unforgiving. You need to be hitting pretty much every Q. You need to be dodging a lot of your Q, the enemy QWs with your own W move speed. Harry's going to have to recall early from this now. Get about early Dark Seal, which is not bad for him. Honky actually is at threat of killing here. Did miss the Q, got the W there. Yeah, Harry will back early. Honky used a lot of mana. The thing about constant QW spam from Orianna very early on is that you do lose a lot of mana. JDG wins. Really depends on how these early lanes go and if they can snowball them. Hey, there you go. That's a good melee laner. Got himself a Dark Seal. First back, did Harry. Gala on his Kai'Sa. See how much he can do there. Of course, the CC from JDG, not that crazy to allow the Kai'Sa that much value. Xiaoxu on the whole winning the micro trades versus Kashi very well. Hey, you see that he's actually, you know, oh hang on, Harry's very nearly steals blue buff there actually. Walking over, good play from him to make sure he could spot out the jungler, and Pad W actually coming through from Xiaoxu. Kashi not enjoying that at all. Flashing baby forward, Store and Shield and the Fleet Footwork making the most of that. Now potential early fights around bot side. Honkyu has the level up on Harry, who's only level 3. Like I said, I really didn't like this Ahri pick, and if he gets out of lane, it's fine, but I'm just not sure about it, chat. I'm just not sure about it. So double scuttle not secured from JDG, but it's still, you can see the extra pressure being put on TT this time compared to the last time. Last game, they managed to escape the early game against the Lee Sin. Oh, missed the cannon there too. Heru, buddy, MVP at game 1, picks into one of the harder matchups against one of the better mid laners in the league. And I'm just not sure it's worth it, chat. I'm just not sure it's worth it. 10 CS down already, 4 minutes in. You know, again, you can win the matchup as the Ahri into the Orianna, but you need to dodge so much out with the W move speed. You need to hit so many max range Qs to make the most of it. Top lane as well, as you were saying, Xiaoxu's actually playing very well there. Good damage onto Gala, who's exhausted, and there's going to be the extra healing behind Feather there. Keshi now getting good damage onto Xiaoxu. Has himself in powered range, could flash for a flash W into a Q, or flash Q, of course, for the healing. Xiaoxu still actually at a very good point here. Healing up from the door and shield, has himself a pot ticking as well. Sometimes these trades will... Ooh, God, again, just every time you get towards these lower HP bars, but Renekton has rage, you feel pretty happy, don't you? As the Renekton. Junhao now walking up behind the top laner. Neferi has just been clearing, as has Junhao. Junhao on Ultra Prime last year was an Oh, it's a stud on the Shinzao. This year on TT, struggle to find that same level of form. Do they get a burst trade onto Xiaoxu? Does have the empowered W coming forwards, maybe jumping out of the brush. Has that flash still available? Knockup comes through. W, the Renekton has the ultimate running. Can Keshi get the kill? Yes, he can. Good tower aggro juggling as Keshi jumps forwards. First blood to Keshi. Good gank angle by Junhao. Just talking about how his Shinzao was very impactful last year when he debuted in LPL. And now he's set up top lane for success. Xiaoxu, no flash, no teleport. Dies will lose half a wave. Ult into the wall to make sure that Keshi can get that full wave cleared. Potential hook on towards Feather. Hook does land here. Does he flash for the magical journey? Might not need it, actually. That's fair play. Good trade there from Arn onto Gala. Of course, the Kai'Sa Ezreal matchup is one that we've seen since Kai'Sa's ever been a meta, really. JDG is so overrated. I don't think JDG looked very locked in today. I'll say that much. Vampire has the level 3 spotted out by that healing shrine in the brush. Haru does have level 6 now. Has managed to stabilize mid lane matchup at 10 CS deficit. Again, the key with this kind of matchup is getting a play early as possible to make sure that... Hang on a second. Feather's in a bit of trouble here now. Good hook there from Vampire. Ulted here. Flashing towards the wall. Will die if the double daggers hits. Doesn't get the second Darkened Dagger. Will live. Good survival there. Ult down. Dodges the QW there. Honky does have the shockwave now. Haru, not sure I'll be winning a trade with that one. Haru, no teleport reminder as well. Level 6 from Junja. Smite, I think, went the way of Junhao there. Vampire heading over. Junhao did use the flash and topside, dashing in now. Here comes Haru. Can they get a good enough damage down? Vampire flashing for the stun. That's good from him. Great work on the Pike. Almost another kill onto the Ahri as well. Vampire's having a strong game on the Pike so far out of lane. Managing to get some good hooks. That one there kills Junhao. Good invade into the bot side jungle. Killing a very important member for TT. This was the top lane play. Of course, the flash was used by the Shinzao in that top lane play. Jumped forwards, got the E movement speed. I think he actually missed a couple of auto attacks there, actually. Would have made that an instant kill. Flash forward for the auto attack. Yeah, I think he actually ended up getting... a couple of auto attacks onto minions instead there. 600 gold lead for Keshi. Kill, though, to Junja. Now, again, JDG, Junja dice gaming. The jungle decides the game. Hook onto Feather again. No flash. That actually could be a kill angle on going in towards Kai'Sa. Magical Journey. Good trade onto Feather, but not a kill. No, again, Vampire's doing very well, actually, with these hooks to threaten the quite squishy Bard. Pike has always been quite a good matchup into the Bard. Can shrug off a lot of the poke, which the Bard poses early on, and then can threaten him later, because Bard is just a very squishy champion. Keshi now going towards the Honey Fruit, keeping himself topped up for lane. Junhao, no flash still from the earlier top lane play. Early game is even again. Honky, 15 CS up now. Oh, Harry, you shouldn't really have walked up like that. Quite scary. This does still have the flash available. Gone for the cooldown boots. Wants as much ability to throw out extra Qs and Es from long range against the Orianna as possible. It's going to be losing a bit of burst because of that. Also, Arn's Ezreal, also a powerful champion on this rift against Gala's Kai'Sa. Perhaps the most iconic of the champion player combos we have here in this matchup and with these teams. Keshi could trade against Xiaoxu as well. I mean, this game is littered with players and their comfort champions. Ooh, potential play coming in towards bot side. Ezreal getting the exhaust down. Vampire gonna make sure there's a stun onto Feather. Good heal on a bot side. Maybe a flash forced away onto Arn. Careful there, Arn. Managed to survive with a heal. Not bad, actually, from the bot 2v2. They're trading quite effectively, getting good value. Yes, they do lose summoners. The Gala loses the flash and the barrier. Dragon, of course, was taken by JDG in amongst those plays. Haru scanned that out. Vampire maybe looking for a hook over the wall. Doesn't hit it. Close there, though. Close. Again, actually, Vampire's been putting out a ton of pressure on the Pike. You need to, as a Pike. Pike is definitely not a very good late-game champion. The earlier you can get valued, the better your champion is. And in this game, you kind of need to be the instigator. Good wards down to the bot side jungle. Junhao will spot that out, though. Junhao trying to clear through his jungle and keep back up with Junja now after that first death. It's a much better game from JDG so far. I think it's... Oh, cute. Not getting that minion either. I'm really surprised they went for the Ahri here. They wanted to go for the early snowball, but I do wonder whether something like the Victor would have been better. Quite vulnerable, I guess, as a mobile target. Potential jump onto Vampire. Vampire is very squishy and doesn't have himself a flash. There you go. Early game champion, early game squishiness. Great kill from Junhao onto Vampire, who steps too far forward. So kind of 1-for-1 between jungle and support now. And every time this Pyke dies, you just feel the usefulness just ebbing away a little bit. Not an easy champion to get value out of. Gala stunned against the wall there. Electrocute onto him. TT 1,000 gold ahead from that kill. Was just a solo kill from Junhao onto Vampire as well. No assists in there. A bit sad for Heru. Heru would have really liked to get an assist to get himself a Dark Seal stack, an Ultimate Hunter stack, and a bit of gold. Flashing away from that stun was very important by Junhao, realizing he had the damage there too, of course. Cycle Sword in from Junja first. Very strong item for any lethality builder right now. It just feels like the new best in slot for lethality champions, unless you need the mobility of Ghostblade. Charm, not getting that cannon. Heru, man, Heru's farming has not been very good in this game. It's a very difficult matchup. It is. Orianna should be exploding this matchup versus the Ahri, and has done very well at that. 500 gold individually. Very, very good from him. Honky also an incredible player of the Orianna, one of our very best here in the LPL. Nice amount of healing there from Feather onto Heru. Honky judging where Heru's going to step next very well. Good accuracy with the QWs. Now, Gala's had to leave lane before his quest is complete here. Also helps out the Renekton, who's also been struggling in his own matchup. We did say, look, JDG, good early matchups, but they need to use them well. I don't think that's necessarily worked out incredibly well for them, have they? Vampire. Oh, going to walk into a charm. That's a great play from Heru. Vampire, another poor misread on the map. Very good early game, but then started to struggle as it comes through to the mid game. Keshi forcing the ult out of Gala's got the Meganar building. There's no flash on the Kai'Sa still, and the legendary player of the champion. Maybe just another notch on the belts of Keshi. Ultimate goes wide from Feather. Shashu has the dominance roaming. Junja coming up. The Orianna is teleporting into the play. Great knockup from Junhao. Stops the ultimate coming through from Junja. Flashing forward for some damage. Will die in a 1-for-1. Orianna stopped from the teleport. Ahri has ended up stopping that. Might end up dying for it. The shockwave goes in. The shockwave was used in that play. Ends up being, what, a 3-for-2, I guess, if you count the Pyke death before. On the top side of the map, TT are skirmishing so well. That knockup from Junhao was magical. Absolutely magical. Stops the Neferi from flying over him. And that saves the play. Look, Keshi, credit to him, realizes, yeah, I can get this solo kill. I'm 2 levels up on you. Vampire died to Heru as well. There's no one who can roam up to this at that point within time. Gala can't make enough distance with his E and his ultimate, and credit to Keshi, knows the kill combo's in. Xiaoxi comes through, but he's 2 levels down. Now, the ultimate's not great from Feather. Perhaps should have just saved that. His first real misplay of the game. Does get the stun onto him. But then watch this from Junhao. Holds onto the Q3 and stops the Neferi ultimate. Insanity. Junhao is coming in with a point to prove. What a series for him so far. Now, game 1 on the Vi could have very easily been MVP as well. And I think many teams like TT would have lost that kill onto Junhao in bot jungle and things would have fallen apart. Folks, JDG are outscaled in this composition. They have a Pyke. He's now 0-2. His early plays were good, and then his vision play later on has been a little bit disrespectful. JDG are not on an easy point at all. Gala tagged up by the Ezreal ultimate. Harry's still behind in gold to Honky. That will be a worry. A good enough shockwave can save this game well and truly for JDG. I think they have to just let this one go. Ultimate. No, they're going for the fight. They really want to go for the fight here. The Q lands onto the Renekton. Charm afterwards. The CC chain is good. He doesn't have himself a flash. The ultimate for the shockwave is going to be blocked mainly by the Crescent Guard, and I think that'll just be a kill coming through on Gala goes into the backline, but Vampire's dead too. No ultimate coming through from the Pyke. That's going to be a reset coming through from Junja. Reset coming through from Heru, and he'll get out away from the QW. Now Keshi wants to start chasing down Hong Q. Q starts to go away. Heru got to be careful there. The Kraken slides in from Gala. Charm. That's not good enough. Heru. Gala gets the kill with that auto Q. Should have known that was charged up. Heru starting to misjudge things a bit now, and the fight still goes the way of TT. Ends up being a 3 for 2 as Vampire goes down and a lot of summoners were blown. But Harry, mate, you can't jump into a Kraken Kaiser like that. I mean, if I can tell that, you should be able to too. Even if he landed that charm, I think he dies actually. Kashi has been doing some mad work here though. It's a very good ult from Feather this time. The 2 ultimate really helps, forces the W out of the Neferi early. Haru, great CC chain afterwards. Xiaoshu barely gets any damage done in here, and the shockwave only lands onto a Scuttle Crab on the Bard. Doesn't work on Junhao there, of course. Haru gets himself the reset. Vampire does get the CC down at least a little bit there, and of course the plasma lasted from the shockwave. I think Harry just makes a mistake there. I don't think there's any world... There's no world in which you do this. Buddy, you have red buff too. There's no point giving that up. You just gave the red buff to the Kaiser. You could have had that for yourself. Harold's now go down the side of JDG. Not going to spot out Vampire. Vampire doesn't have flash. Vampire is just insing it now. He's just running it down. 0 and 4 on the Pike. Another kill goes over as the Orianna's now out of position. One of the big things that JDG lost in the Dragon fight was summoners. The cooldown economy from TT has been really good. They've been blowing the flashes so well, and they have the more mobile team comp. Much better CC. Xiaoshu now potentially caught up with a Q. Indeed is actually. Junhao can actually walk up and threaten Xiaoshu now. Half the HP away from the Renekton. The fights are incredible from TT. Perhaps the Nirvana dream is more than a dream. Perhaps it's manifesting a bit here. Now, I thought that the first 5 minutes were good from Vampire, but the next 10 minutes after have been very disrespectful. 0 and 4 on the Pike, the most important champion in this game, as we were saying, because the JDG don't have that great CC. They don't have that many ways to start a fight very well. The Neferi Orianna combo is very hard to pull off, and it's quite slow to pull off. The Pike needs to be doing a lot of work. Now, JDG do have the early 2 dragons. They didn't get them set. Wait, did they use the Herald? I believe they did into mid lane. Yeah, they did. Okay. These best of 5s have been full of underdog wins. Yeah, they have been, but also I think one of the big things is that I think a lot of our top teams have... This is quite a regular thing within LPL. I think due to schedule and due to, you know, resource allocation, top teams often overlook bot teams and just think they can just hands diff them. JDG right here are getting hands diffed themselves. I think that their drafts have been worse. I think that on the whole, TT have been picking the fight so much better. They're really locked in today, chap. They're really locked in. Tao's going to go over towards Harry, who's actually going to get ahead in gold now compared to Honky. Now, one of the big things, the Ahri-Orianna matchup, I speak as a, you know, I have several million points on Ahri. I'm one of the more prolific Ahri mains out there. Ahri versus mages like Victor, like Orianna, like Xerath, Syndra, you name it. Well, Syndra's a little bit different. You are less useful than a mage in lane. What Ahri needs out of matchups like the Orianna is to get an early play down and make sure you are snowballed in a way which an Orianna can't do the same. Ahri snowballs in the way that Orianna can't, and then you become more useful after. You're even in gold now. You have grand majority of your ultimate hunter stacks. You have a Dark Seal stack in as well. Did lose some of them, of course, in that death to Gala, which was a bit of an unforced error. And now actually Ahri has a real value in this game. This Ahri has not been shut down completely because despite Honky's great laning, JDG have let them in through the game through other means. Great Q there from On, actually. If he'd landed on the next one, Gala would have been pretty much off the map, actually. Potential play onto the Ezreal. The ultimate's coming through. The shockwave lands, but the charm pulls him out of the midair. The ultimate comes through. Ultimate will come through from Heru, and the Fury goes down. The dog is beaten by the fox this time. Great charm mid-air. Chundra has not been having an easy time. As we said, JDG, their compositions are just not full of CC. It's hard for them to start fights. I think JDG came into this game and came into the last game saying, we'll just diff them in early game and in lane and it'll be fine. They haven't been. They've been disrespectful. No, JDG were populating the top 2 MVP slots in terms of the All-Pro. Great charm from Harry, but realistically this composition just does not function in terms of a CC bot. Junhao now goes low. There's no shockwave from Honky. Used that in that last play. Dragon is alive. It's up in 10 seconds now. JDG perhaps thinking they can... yeah, Junhao's actually going to go towards topside onto the Dragon, maybe. They can start it up now, though, knowing that Junhao doesn't have that many camps available. Feather over the wall. Ultimate available, not from the Bard, actually. So call me out on that one, I suppose. Dragon going low, JDG looking for Mountain Soul Point, Feather over the wall, trying to get himself that ward kill so he can be off of vision. The flanking bar can be quite scary at points. That's a flash away from Garlic. He can get into the play. Perhaps he can. Keshi goes low. Keshi goes down. Junhao, Crescent Guard pulled out quite early, and they can't take the Dragon very effectively afterwards. Junja jumping over the wall. Again, Honkyu going low himself. Harry, one last ult charge available on the Bard ultimate, and the Q after will buy them some time. I think they have to call this off now. Take the one death and just leave it as is. JDG, Soul Point, much better objective fight. Taking out Junhao's HP bar early, and then Keshi at the start of the fight really helping them. Very good objective fight from JDG. Hey, Baneblade, thanks for the resub. And of course, folks, if you're sitting by enjoying this English cast of LPL players, please think about dropping a like, a follow, subscribe. Just keep me winning the algorithm battle a little bit. So what happens here to Keshi at the start? Goes in for the play, forces the flash with the W, and then it's just perma-CC. Maybe could have flashed out. Vampire actually gets himself the ultimate there as well, I believe, in terms of the resets. Oh, Charm missing onto Honky. Went for the Protobell. Now, I think the Protobell from the Ahri is a mistake here. I think you do need to... Look, you already went for the cooldown boots. Going Protobell is a mistake from Harry. He needs more damage, really. Although the cooldown reduction in the HP won't go amiss either. Baron now alive and available. Of course, JDG will have Soul Point for the rest of the game. At minimum, of course. Junhao caught out by a hook there. Ooh, needs to be a bit careful here, actually. It's decent damage coming through from Junja. Battle of the Jun junglers. JDG, of course, second best team coming in from regular season. TT, a Nirvana team who weren't expected to be here at all. They slaughtered IG in a 3-0 series in play-ins, knocking down IG to the lower group for the next split. Oh, potential play-in here. Junja could actually jump at him. Black Cleaver in from Keshi, interestingly, second. The starting Baron. All right, okay. Well, that's a bit of a different state of affairs. They might just look for the Orianna teleport. Junja taking the blue buff, walking over with Arn now. They should know. They should know now that now they're defending this so heavily. They want to defend that. No teleport bot, but because Orianna was walking up, that means that Keshi gets some free time on bot town. So TT macro win. They don't get the teleport out of the Orianna, but they... Hang on, that's the shockwave potentially threatened here. Ultimate coming through. Gala on the side lane. Flash away. Does Gala do anything more? They don't have any more cancels. Keshi will make his way out. So that's going to be ultimates down from Honkyu and Gala, flash down from Keshi. You can see the plan, though, from TT. Either way, you get the flash out... Sorry, the teleport out of Honkyu, or you get some time on bot tower. Losing the flash and the teleport from Keshi is a bit of a loss, though. Initially, I thought that TT had gotten the better out of that situation. Honkyu ends up rescuing that well with Gala. Of course, Gala now 2.5 items going towards the Nash's tier 3rd, and Gala's Kai'Sa is so legendary. Doesn't seem to really encapsulate it. Even though Gala doesn't have a world skin, doesn't have the whole legend skin, Gala still probably is the most famous Kai'Sa player of all time. Aren't JDG missing their best players? Well, this is the roster they have, and I think this, this roster is very good. Individually, these players are all very good. They're building up to something quite special. Keshi, no flash, no teleport, and people a little bit far from on his side of the map, although they are coming over now. Junja, oh, hang on, Saxon Feather going over the wall, missing the ultimate there. Vampire still no flash, potential of a big play there. Harry missing the charm now to Gala, and Gala could be in a very threatening spot. Shockwave back onto Junhao, pulls the Crescent Guard a bit late there, really. Potential play coming through from Xiaoshu, and the... Oh, that's a really good combo. There you go. Harry too greedy going in towards Gala, too greedy going in towards the Pike, and I've not enjoyed his Ahri gameplay that much, folks. I really think he had a chance to snowball. He's been very disrespectful. Has the Protobelt even to make a difference there. TT, just a little bit looser on the execution now. Good hook there from Vampire. That one's important. Gets himself some gold with the ultimate too. He has to make up for that real 5 to 15 minute mark where Vampire was really struggling to make an impact. Now there's a minute till Dragon. JDG, if they get Mountain Soul, I think they'll find themselves their answer to their winning game then at that point. I mean, Haru had ultimate, he had Protobelt, he had flash. Haru, you can't be doing that, man. Such an important death. At this point in the game, with level 11, with the Malignance, with the cooldown boots, your ult would have been back up in time for Dragon. You could have used that. 30 seconds till Dragon. Now, Vampire won't have ults, which is a minor cooldown victory for TT, but that'll be it really. Feather, ult in 10 seconds. Gala 3 items. Very powerful Kai'Sa and Ezreal. The Shojin in from the Arn AD carry as well. Honku, Blackfire Torch, and jumping in actually onto Junja here. Good damage back to him, though. As the dogs start to do a bit of work. A bit of healing from the Healing Shrine. Xiaoshu waiting to see if he can teleport in. Now he is, using that teleport for the shield. JDG better positioning on the objective again. Junja's poke's been good, but Arn's pushing back. Shockwave onto 2, gets onto Arn there. Not bad in terms of poke. Keshi getting a little bit lower. Heru on the back of this pit. Needs to be careful for the CC chain. Will get out of that play. Ignite was put down. Heru's ultimate now down. Might have to jump in again, actually. TT just losing out on the objective setup. Does he jump in? He does. Ultimate's about to run out, actually. Needs to be careful here. Shan forces the W. Junhao pops the ult early. This will come down to a smite fight. The bottle going a little bit wide there. Xiaoshu pops the ultimate. Ezreal, good damage. In demand source claimed by JDG. Good win from them, JDG. Much better objective setup. Junja will go in, as does Xiaoshu. Kill for Junja. Much better game from him, and that'll be a death onto Arn. I think JDG have turned the play well and truly at this point. The early game looked pretty good from TT as they shut down Vampire, but the objective play much better from JDG. I think particularly the heroes of last game, Junhao and Heru, have been struggling in the objective setup, often getting taken down before they can make much of a difference. TT, they've got to be kicking themselves this now. There's going to be Baron going over. JDG even up the gold, which was well away from them at points. A lot of that gold has gone onto Gala's Kai'Sa, who's 5-1. Flew into the backline very well. I mean, the shockwave was good from Honku at the start of it. Took a lot of the HP off, and then, you know, Heru, I think he could have done with just the flash, actually. Using the ult and the flash ended up really hurting him. I think you have to flash and not ult there. Jumps back in, and no one's ready to combo. No one's ready to combo, really. Junhao, not a great ultimate from him. Ultimate from Feather, too. Not really catching who it needed to. A lot of panic setting in, I think. So what happens to Arn after this point? Gets hit by a Kai'Sa W. Charm, another one goes wide there. Arn ends up going onto a QW from the Orianna, and then gets hit by a QW by flashing it late. It's not a good fight from Arn. Gala flies in. Gets the cleanup plays. It's a bad fight from Arn. I think he needs to do a lot more there on the Ezreal too. The initial part of it was good in terms of the poke. 3-item Ezreal, though. Gosh, can't be getting hit by those QWs like that free ball from the Orianna. If you're going to flash, at least flash the actual skill shot, you know? Much better fight from Junja too. JDG better around the objectives. TT, they sucker punch them well, but they've got to be ruining this opportunity now. Even with a draft from JDG, which I thought was a bit flimsy, you know, if they don't get that early lane lead, what happens? Well, they've got a Baron, they've got a Mountain Soul now, and perhaps Gala's Kai'Sa can just do enough. Perhaps Gala's Kai'Sa can do enough. Keshi, 2,000 gold up on the Gnar, but struggling to leverage that in a way which actually makes a difference. I know, right? Prediction, I know. Good damage there from Gala, the W upgrade. Ooh, missing the second one there onto Gala. Onto Arn, rather. 3 items from Keshi. Can he do enough? I'm not sure. He might, I mean, Ezreal might even need to go for a Serpent's Fang now, but he needs the Endless Hunger too. What do you do? What do you do? JDG getting himself significant gold lead now and potentially looking for a Pike Hook onto Ahri under the turret. Ezreal ult getting some shot. Okay, Shockwave missing. All right. TT, where's your playmaking now? Good W again from Gala. Good poke from him. That Nashus 2 is doing a lot of value. Going towards a Banshees next as well. 3rd one in a row there landing, I believe, actually, from him. 4th one missing. Got to be careful, actually, when you're positioning against a Kai'Sa. If you go next to, like, the wreckage of the turret or next to a wall, you kind of deprive yourself of dodging angles and get hit by them more often. Harry right there was actually just stood next to the wreckage of the mid lane inner turret, so there was a chance that he actually couldn't dodge away because of his own positioning. Shojin in from Junja. Powerful is the Neferi. Cyrilda's coming in from Arn, actually. Afraid of the actual raw stats from the Mountain Soul rather than the shield itself. Turret goes down in bot side now. They'll be up to, what, 3 and a bit K? Gold lead? She's a little bit low, though. overlay had updated in time. Sometimes the overlay gets a little bit delayed, so sometimes you have to kind of guess when the next kind of kill slash summoner usage slash gold lead will register. 4 items for Gala, completes the Banshees. That's a huge moment. Now suddenly it's much harder to catch out Gala. I mean, the Proto Belt from Ahri is actually a very good anti-barrier Banshee's Veil slash Banshee's tech. You know, the Proto Belt pretty much always blows that spell shield. Seeker's in from Honkyu. I think TT had a golden opportunity to go 2-up in this series, chat, but JDG, credit to them, are a much better objective team. Seeing a bit of their class here. Much better at the objectives this time. Sometimes JDG have just fallen back on, we'll just walk at a dragon and we'll win. They use that to beat Weibo a number of times. They use that to win against BLG a number of times. JDG, I think sometimes they can get out macroed on side lane. Sometimes they can get a little bit snowballed on because Junja is Junja. But they can just win around dragon fights. Here in the LPL, at least, anyway. Of course, it didn't work against Gen G at first stand. But then again, not many things were working against them unless your name was G2. Crazy that G2 beat Gen G. Especially in a 3-0 fashion. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. Oh, it is not going to be stopped on his recall there. Honkyu. Solid game from him, actually. Very solid game. Good shockwaves. Good laning phase. This game is not on him the way that it went awry. Vampire at least has redeemed himself somewhat for whatever went on in the early game. Good full court press here from JDG. Again, the big takeaway from this is that JDG very good around objectives. And they can use that to bail out a lot of games. I think Haru was very risky of him to pull the Ahri. And then the thing is, I actually think the Ahri escaped the early game, and then I think Haru ended up messing up beyond that point, which really sucks. Because I think that if the Ahri had built a bit more aggressively, chosen some better angles, not died to Gala, you know, in that early dragon fight, perhaps things would have made a big difference. The Elder again, just look, JDG so much better around this. Junha jumping on towards Gala will force Banshee's Veil. He's in melee range of a number of people now, though, and the Crescent Guard feels a little bit decorative, really. The Shockwave only onto Harry, uses the Magical Journey, but goes into melee range, a flash range of Xiaoshu. I think Harry's going to go down again. Another misjudged play from the mid laner, though Gala is getting ulted by Xiaoshu, by Kashi. Doesn't land it, though. Honkyu flashing away. Kashi trying his best as this very large gold lead. Xiaoshu now on the side, JDG still have themselves prime position. Heru has gone down. Recall coming through from Gala and from Honkyu, though. No teleport. Well, there is a teleport on the Orianna, but no teleport on the Kai'Sa. Kashi trying to charge up the Mega Gnar again. The hook goes wide. Teleport coming through from Orianna. It's getting a little bit spooky, but GT do have low HP bars. Arn doesn't have the Endless Hunger for the sustain. Dogs blocking up those Ezreal Qs, very annoyingly so. That's a hook out of the Magical Journey. They didn't spot him over there, and Feather likely going down. Junja gets the daggers onto all of them, a Proto Belt forwards, and I think the HP just a little bit too out of whack now. Very good dragon fight again. Is Grump body a kill out at this point? Grump! Go, Grump! Go! Grump kills Ezreal! A teleport back in from Haru. He'll die as well. Much better dragon fights across the game. Very strong fight from Junja as he ends up taking the lion's share of the damage. Elder goes over. I can't believe that we saw a Grom kill in pro play. Yeah, it's a 6v5. What can I say? Gromp, the extra member from JDG. Actually, his name is JD Gromp. JDG is part of his name, you know. I mean, Harry flashes out of the Shockwave, does have his ult, and he takes the Magical Journey back and then just sits in melee range. Oh, the flash range of the Renekton. Xiaoshu's done a great job of picking off the Ahri in like 3 fights this game. The objective setup is the real hero of this, though. It forces TT to be really desperate here. The W's not bad, but he's in like a 1v4 at this point. What a weird game from JDG. Very good first 5 minutes, and then very bad 5 to 15, and then beyond that point picked up the slack again around objectives particularly. I actually don't think they should be happy with this game at all, though. The hook from Vampire's great. I mean, it's a telegraph journey, right? You know, they didn't spot him. There's a clear path there. That hook is actually one of his least impressive ones. The ones which are more important are the ones out of Fog of War, right? That's how that is out of Fog of War. But yeah. Elder and Baron now for JDG. Anything left to say here from TT? 8.5k down. Not really found a winning angle for a while, have they? I think Junhao has really been shut down and Harry's been misplaying. JDG much better, playing a renewed at the Elder. Almost killing Harry. Very close to killing there indeed. 4 items from Arn. Not enough, really. Needs an Endless Hunger, needs a Serpent's Fang. If we went to full build, then yeah, it can do anything, really. TT very much struggling, though, after those first plays went awry. Hook missing there. The Elder's still on for like another 30 seconds. Good charm onto the Neferi, actually. And the ultimate's not bad there from Feather either. In fairness, that's not a bad defense. Harry the bleed onto him. Very nearly kills him anyway, though. Elder, such a scary, scary buff to have. Harry goes back to base. Defender's advantage. Ult coming through. On! One more auto attack would have done it. Gala can't quite get it. On. Very low, though. Good charm onto him. Vampire wants to get a bit more damage. Will die, though, on the back end of it. And he goes down even with the Elder. The shockwave comes through, and that'll end out the game. JDG still walking in with the double buffs. And TT, they well and truly should be kicking themselves to that game. Change over to the other seat. So make sure I've got our little social banners out there. Alrighty, game 3 starts now. 1-1 with TT really shocking us so far. Is it me, or are the Thunder Talk fans a bit louder? Now, isn't that interesting? Now, there's going to be a leash from Xiaoxu down towards Junja. I think in tank versus tank matchups, you care a lot less about, you know, early wave, really. Both top laners going down to help the clear. Sion probably starting with a Q onto the Raptors. Good trade there from Hongq onto Haru. Bot lane just going to be accepting their lot in life here right now, although Feather will look for those double Qs. Does get it, goes into the shield of the Lulu. That's fine, though. A bit of an even trade. Of course, getting rid of the Seraphine double cast is really nice, actually, in bot lane. Stack there for Arn. This is one of the things about, look, they gave up the Karma for the Lulu. And they chose not to go for the Karma. And I think that just gives a lot more stacking potential for the Senna. I do wonder whether that will end up being an error. Haru going for the E. Not that bad there. We'll take a heavy trade on his way back out, though. Of course, last game, Harry picked a bad matchup and then didn't play it out that well. It was quite hard to watch, actually, as an Ahri player, watching things go badly. That he's off of vision. He's waiting for his W to come back up. He watches it die. Oh, maybe he can look for something in mid lane now. Does he get himself a Warrior Trackster into mid lane? He does have the red buff. Flash forwards. The E goes wide. That might end up leading to the survival of him. Oh, Haru. I don't think... I don't think you can afford to miss those. Haru, MVP of game 1, made some crucial misplays in game 2, and right there, that is a stinker. Loses his flash, does manage to force the teleport out of the Victor. It's a good angle from Junhao. Junhao, I think, has actually had a very solid series overall so far, both in game 1 and game 2. Starting things off well there. Arn getting the double taps onto both bot laners. Doing very well there, actually. Arn almost hit his W animation there, too. You see what Arn did there? He ended up, like, winding up his auto attack, but Wing it. Because there's a specific, like, Senna auto-attack animation where there's, like, a line drawn from you to her before the auto-attack completes, which means you can often hide particles in your auto-attack wind-up. Looks like you're cancelling an auto. Sometimes you're actually just hiding, like, a W coming out. Oh, the wave's in a bad state for Harry now. If they killed Hongq, they could have reset the wave. Ah, gosh. Big fan of TT. I mean, I think TT are they've always been a fun underdog team. Double Scuttle going after Junja now too. Feather coming up to protect the Raptor respawn. I think he does need to be here, actually. Even if Junja takes away a single Raptor, it's a slight win, you know? Xiaoxu doing well in the matchup versus Keshi. Shen does damage, folks. One of the biggest lies ever. I saw a Hoopu thread on that, which was basically the biggest lie ever was that Shen does no damage. Does Shen need Dawn Shield in this matchup? It means that, like, your early lane is kind of unbeatable. And Keshi's gone for the Doran's Helm. That's really scary, actually. Keshi will have to teleport back. Good Shadow Dash there. You feel once again, though, that TT had a good angle This time they mis-executed in the early game. That's quite sad to see, actually. I really want to see TT give their best in these games. So I want to see if JDG, you know, did they overlook them? Are they prepared for this? Good soul pick up there with the Q from Arn. Bot lane's going completely fine, by the way. 13 souls at 5 minutes in. It's completely fine. You're expecting somewhere between 60 and 70 souls at 20 minutes nowadays, really. Can't get the recall stop there, can Vampire. Partly because actually Feather walked to the side to stop the extended engagement range. Oh, no flash and Honky. The wave's coming back in. Heru quite low HP. Real field pot is down. Good E-poke there from Honky. Honky hanging out on the right side of the lane, though. You can see the scariness here for the matchup of the Wukong into the Nocturne. Nocturne has no camps up. Junger's still, you know, a good amount up. The W from Arn could be crucial here. Just force the heal out, will back off. No cleanse on Gala, no barrier. He didn't take the cleanse, and of course, no barrier because the earlier trading as well. Junger now coming in towards this bot scuttle. Really dangerous to give over a Nocturne to Junger just because the early prior. Chaos Storm used for a good amount of poke there onto the Silas. The thing about the Chaos Storm is you used to use it for the initial tick of damage. Now you have to use it for the DOT. Junhao's getting invaded onto. Can he get that? He really wants this smite. He's level 4, chap. Smite, it goes over. There you go. Smite goes down. TT, I think Heru has really screwed over Junhao here, folks. I think Heru, by missing that E after the flash was used by both him and Honkyu, really killed the early game for this Wukong. I mean, I think Heru had a great game 1. You know, I think that he's been a great player to watch in terms of creative playmaking. But that swing and a miss might cost him this entire game. Because now what it's led to is a full court press from JDG. It's led to Junger getting very, very far ahead on a champion which he's done very well on when he gets snowballing. And Junhao, who has been their most important member, I think, and probably their best performing member too, he's down way too much XP now. They have to give up the early dragon. There's no contest there. Can he walk over for a camp steal? Top jungle? I think it might have been the right choice, actually. Doesn't go towards it. I guess afraid now that the Nocturne ultimate is up. And then, of course, that it's not like Sion can really do much here. There's also the Shen ult to be aware of now, too. Shen ult will be scary. How did JDG drop against TT? Good play from TT, bluntly. Very good play from them. And then also bad macro and bad drafting from JDG. Oh, no, sorry, not bad macro from them. No, TT had great macro, and they had a good draft, and JDG had a bad draft. So it's a mix of things, right? Many factors worked into it. JDG locked themselves into a 0 crowd control composition. Really, they had a TF gold card as their engage. That was it. And then TT played very, very well at answering that global. Junja doing the double camp there. He's going to be so much further ahead than Junhao. Now, the Wukong is going to have Senna Seraphine behind them, and this is going to be a Senna Seraphine on a decent amount of farm and a decent amount of souls. See that again? I'm just hiding the W auto attack and W animation within his auto attack. Gets the double tap there too. I like how Arn's been playing that actually, the little micro mechanic. Yeah, and even in game 2, TT were really far ahead. Vampire was 0-4 on Pyke in game 2. He redeemed himself, he did. But, you know, Vampire, the all-pro second support, had a tough time of it. Great poke there again from Honkyu onto Heru. If he gets 1 killer assist now, he will have himself first upgrade. And get that E upgraded for very nasty DPS. Wave clear as well. Using the W shield there. Honkyu, very good Victor player, of course. Played that to great fame against BLG, even in Split 1, right? Grub's now started. JDG with full control. Ultimate not yet up from Vampire. Should get that off of midwave if he leeches it, though. Did he get it? Yes, he did. Got it from the midwave. All right. Gala looking for an arrow. There it goes. Does it go over vision? Did they spot it? I don't think they did. Where is it going? It's going on to Feather. Maybe no. Goes on to Junhao instead. I don't think they followed that. If it was on to Feather, they could. Can't go there. Swing and a miss. Top lane. Keshi doesn't have ultimate to immediately cancel Shen. Wants to stay within range so he can get the Q cancel, though. If this teleport did come through. See that Arn is going for the static shiv build. Yes, it does build out of an Ether Wisp nowadays. Gives you the movement speed, actually, that Ether Wisp too, which is nice. So 2 grips to the side of TT. Did not expect that at all. Didn't expect them to be able to fight for that. Credit to them. JDG still 1,000 gold ahead, largely through mid-jungle. Again, reminded that this early game could have gone so much better for TT. Now, Harry missing that flash chain onto Honkyu, who just used the flash himself, so had no way to easily dodge it. No boots even built up either, right? Move speed at its all-time lowest. How do TT plan to peel for Senna with Nocturne Lulu here? Because they have a Seraphine and they have Wukong ulting on top of their carry. They've got 3 melees which can engage. You've got Senna, Seraphine. I actually think TT have a lot of peel for that. The problem they have is successfully reaching the Victor Ashe all the time through the Shen shields. I actually think that JDG have a better DPS backline, you know? They got the Ashe and they got the Victor. Now, if Senna actually gets fed, actually stays even enough in gold, actually does a decent enough job of, you know, getting souls down, I think Arn could actually be a real problem. Because if you get the Shiv applying passive to everyone and then you get a Q across them, people don't realize this enough, but Senna, when she double taps you, also gets more damage on you as well. Does some percent HP when you get the second proc in. Arn looking for that double tap, can't quite get it. Again, Arn is doing this W hiding tech on Senna very well here. Use the auto attack wind up, which is quite you know, you see that the line kind of being put between you and the target. He's just winding that up again and again to make sure that Gala and Vampire don't have an easy rhythm to fall into. This is already a giant success for TT, but why not more? Exactly. Why not more? They've shown they're capable of it from game 1. Oh, interesting. I think that Victor's gone for the upgraded Q? I think he's gone for the upgraded Q, not the upgraded E. Did I see the double burst in there? Yeah, he's actually gone for the upgraded Q, not the upgraded E. He wants the double shield and the move speed. I think anyway, if I could check that correctly. Harry, a little bit low on the HP here. Dragon coming up in 10 seconds. Doesn't have teleport either. Fear Tether's going to go down. I don't think TT can fight over this dragon, no. This is really dangerous. Maybe you could steal an Ashol or a Lulu. The Lulu ult's the bigger one, actually, because he's low HP. Why not, actually? Walking over, trying to look for this. Going in for the Cyclone. Smite comes through. Junja has the flash. Has the Shen ult coming through as well. There comes the Encore, but here comes Xiaoxi. It was a poor fight from TT to choose. The Ashe arrow comes through. Heru was too low. The Senna ult doesn't matter. TT, what are you doing choosing that fight? Junja had a Shen ult, had a Lulu behind him. Clearly a dangerous fight to take. It's difficult to watch, chat, because I actually think TT have been picking some good fights across this series. I think JDG are under their skin now. I think TT are a little bit unsettled. Very well punished by JDG. They managed to rally around Junja on the other side of it. So there are two sides to this. JDG did respond very quickly, very effectively, and they also chunked out Harry very well before this play. Harry starting at half HP makes it very hard to play. And then, of course, Sion, not in position to cancel the ult. Maybe they thought he could do, but you can't call that play if Shen is also out of vision too. Just a number of things not going well. Feather was isolated out, couldn't really get into position. Well, one more dies there, not two more. Harry ends up making out alive. It's a very good response by JDG, but a lot of, compared to game 1, feels like a lot more unforced errors there from TT. Ooh, good damage there from Gala. Ashe, once she gets that Q rolling with the Whimsy behind them, very scary champion. And reminder, folks, look, Joe, the expectation here is, and a reminder of it is, JDG should be smashing this team. They are from Nirvana, and they are a top 2 team. They should be smashing. That's the expectation. So if you hear me, criticizing, TT when they have those angles and JDG are, responding well, it still comes within the context of, yes, JDG are a team which, played very well in the early game fight. The thing is, they should be expected to be just running over this team, despite the fact that TT did 3-0 IG. TT getting that game 1. Huge for them. Huge for them. Great sucker punch. You can see them getting a little unsettled now, though. Heru is getting destroyed by Honkyu in lane. TT, I think, are choosing worse fights than they did do than versus IG, and then in game 1 and game 2, early game at least, versus JDG. Junja very far ahead. Harry, if he hadn't missed those chains early on, perhaps we'd be having a different conversation. Perhaps. Junja will snowball it easily. Now, this is the thing. A lot of people look down on Junja, and I completely understand why this guy, when he falls behind, is... he can be an issue. Yeah, he really can be, and I'm not going to take that away from anyone. No, I will agree with you on that. However, you must also respect him for the power which he has in a number of these games when he can actually snowball. Herald up in 10 seconds. Jun Hao, level 10, down 1,000 gold though. Senna Seraphine have both their ults available. Will help the Wukong stay afloat in these fights more. I think that Honky and Gala have got too much damage now though. I think that Jun Hao, when he's this far behind, I think he'll just die before he can make the big play. Honky coming around from the flank. That might be a bit too far from him actually. A little bit scared from that. There goes... Oh my god, that's a lot of damage coming through. Senna burning down and will die. Cyclone's not enough either. Victor just walks around on the flank and shreds them. Honky gives him a taste of Hextech. Great taunt flash there from Xiaoshu, and Harry will die too. But really, this game is about Honky, much like the last one. Honky, incredible play from him on the Victor. And TT, they just can't get it done now. Triple kill for Honky. So he walks away with all 3 kills from the fight. I think JDG have woken up now. I think TT on the other side, I think they did have an opportunity in this game. I think they had some great ability to really cause JDG some heartache. And it's a real saddening thing for me now to watch TT not really be able to get the most out of this game. You know, that early mid lane play feels like it loses them so much pressure. Gives Junja a free walk of the map, Honky a free lane. TT in review will just have to zero in on that, you know, 2.5 minute play in mid lane. Deathfire Touch and the Blackfire Torch Burn is enough to kill Senna there. That is terrifying for him. Didn't even manage to get out of range to get the ult. It's bad positioning from Arn too. It is. Great fight from Honky though. Just approaches around the flank. Realizes he can go for that. Could have the Shen ult anyway, right? If things did get hairy. Hey, Tao. Great to see you again. Thanks for the sub. Really appreciate you. Hey, Pillar. Great to see you too. Nocturne's hard to play this game. That's what I would have thought too, but if not, Nocturne with the early gold lead just allows you a lot more room for error. It's a much better game for JDG than that Honky and Junja have taken over this game together, really. It's a shame, as we were saying. And I don't want to put it all on Haru, but it does feel like that one play really did snowball things out of control. And a reminder that Haru did have a very good game 1. It's not all... Oh no. Walks into the taunt. Great damage coming through from Xiaoshu. Puts on the... Ultimate's the stolen Shen ult used to save his life. Wukong is going to get flashed into the ult. And then Junja takes it down as well. He'll want to forget that one. Flashes into the Ashe ult. Junja follows him. Jun Hao goes down. Great triple taunt there. Jesus Christ, the Shen damage. Triple taunt for him. He might die under the turret, but his job is done. What an insane play from Xiaoshu. Sometimes you forget that Shen is also a ninja and is also allowed to do damage. Sometimes you forget these things. Oh, TT. I think their spirit's a bit broken now. It's sad to see. TT came in with a very strong statement in game 1. Jun Hao walks into enemy vision. The dragon is, no, of course, of great interest to them. Walks in, though, full damage in. The Shen ult stolen. Works well. Of course, AP Shen ult does a lot of value. It's very good here for that. Then flashes into the ults. I think the Nocturne would have killed him anyway, if I'm honest. That taunt was disgusting. Yeah, he does his job there. Yeah, he does his job. Xiaoshu. What a play. The single kill onto Xiaoshu and the grub would have stopped it from being... Well, it stops it from being a perfect game right now. And games like this, you can understand why the Nocturne is kind of permanently banned within the LPL. This is not always the case in all other regions, even in the LCK. I think the LPL has the best junglers in the world right now. And I think that they play the invading meta so well that it becomes very difficult to let a Nocturne through when his whole game plan for many games, even without the ultimate, is I'm going to get ahead in the jungle matchup and do things like this. Here comes the submarine. Oh, it hits like a battleship. Encore comes through, but I don't think they want anything more. I think they want to leave the stage very quickly. Exit stage right, pursued by a Nocturne. Heshi around the back. He's going to go in for an unstoppable force, but it feels like it's a little bit late. I say that. Gala does go down. That's 2 kills for them now. That's not bad from the solo laners of Thunder Talk. Can they walk onto Honkyu? He does have Flash. Doesn't have the Chaos Storm. Keshi getting himself into good position here. Honkyu rightfully ignores him, though, and says, I got to kill the Silas. He's the one that will actually cause some damage here. Not bad there from TT. Pick up 2 kills on the back end of it. 2 for 2, actually, with that in mind. Not bad. Not bad. Do you all know about the that one Shakespeare kind of there's a note in one of his plays which is exit stage left pursued by a bear? Can't remember which one that is. Some of the stage instructions from Shakespeare were actually quite comedic. He was a comedy actor. He was a comedy actor. No, comedy playwright. No, despite his tragedies being in there too, he was very famous for his comedies. Still down 9k, still now down 3 dragons against JDG, TT. Breath of life from them. Not bad, but yeah. Arn probably shouldn't play center. Those stacks aren't great. Well, that is a thing to talk about, but I actually think that Arn has been playing well on the center. I think the problem comes from mid jungle, because how can you stand up and stack when you're so constantly afraid of everything? That being said, 45 stacks in 20 minutes is abysmal. It is. It's very, very low stacks. When we've looked at him, though, it has been very good in terms of individual mechanics. It just felt like once Ginger and Honkyu got so far ahead, how do you even step up in bot lane? Because you've lost the entirety of your river control. Harry's not going to be able to roam early either. So much of the map play is interconnected to that missed chain in mid lane. If they get that hit that chain, the wave state doesn't go as bad for Harry. Junhao gets himself more time to fight for bot lane scuttle, and Harry can potentially walk over with him as well. And then Jundra isn't as far as ahead. Honkyu doesn't get to lock out Harry in terms of lane stay, and the whole map is more balanced. That one chain in mid lane probably does determine the entire game, and I hate boiling down games to that erroneously, but in this case I'm pretty certain about it. I think you can tell it from chat. That one play in mid lane made this game much more hard for TT. Now, there was a chance that they throw it later. There was a chance that the Shen Nocturne would still cause issues later, but the game becomes a bit of a footnote after that point, analytically anyway. Dragon now up in a minute. JDG have been so good around these objective setups, so good around the dragons. It's been pretty hard for TT to fight back against that. Oh my god, Arn's had to go for a Serpent's Fang second because he's afraid of the Mountain Soul coming through. I mean, credit to him. I mean, what else are you going to do in this spot? Exactly, Pillow, exactly. That's what I was thinking too. Look, Senna, I think that when Senna is against someone, you know, for instance, JDG could have picked Karma and made her stacking a lot harder from a 2v2 standpoint. I actually think in terms of the 2v2, Arm was doing okay. I think they were doing fine in the early 2v2. But yeah, once it gets through into mid-game, how do you expect to get souls when every lane has to play so respectfully of the Shen Nox? And good W there from Gala. Gala walking up quite far. Flash in. There's some damage onto the Nocturne, who's getting CC'd an awful lot, but he might just use the Wukong as a way out. Oh, misses the Q because no one could give him the right angle. Flash forwards, and I think Xiaoxu will just finish him off now. Chaos Storm feels very orderly for JDG as everything is going to plan. JDG will lose Jundra at the back end of the fight, but it just won't matter. Xiaoxu, a great set of disruptions plays there too. JDG hold the line. TT just don't have the swing behind the bat, and it'll be a bit of a dud. TT, I mean, credit for them for looking for the plate, but they are wiped off the rift 5 for 1. Easy pickup for JDG. Look at this play again, right? They try and go all in onto the Nocturne. They get the CC chain, but the Shen ult is already through. They even steal the Wild Growth there, I believe it was. They just don't have the damage. They just don't have the damage. The Q is hard to angle that. If you hit that, he dies. You probably still die in turn. Heru missing his chain there again, actually, after Gala flashes away. Heru's not had a good game 2 or game 3, sadly, for himself. Not that he hasn't tried, it kept trying. I appreciate the fact that he keeps going for these plays, but just can't quite land the knockout blow. What happened to Nami? Is it because the Imperial Mandate changes? Nami should still be around, I think, with Corki. I think anyway. Is 2610 worth noting? Baron now started from JDG, and I doubt there's much that TT could do about it. If they look for a Baron steal, you know, that would be fantastic for them. That's pretty much their only way back into this objective. Steals, but it might just be a bait. Here comes the submarine again, trying to go out of vision with the center E. It's not bad. Actually, this is pretty good. They go untargetable with the center E to stop the Nocturne getting into the backline. It's not bad at all. Harry goes in again. He's really trying for something on Gala, and he'll get himself a bit of a redemption play. The Chaos Storm is wreaking havoc on the backline, and Honku is still alive, using the Q for the move speed. He needs one over the wall. If he hits it, he'll get the kill. Flashes to make sure there's no chance of an escape there. It's not bad from TT. They just don't have the stats. 3 for 3, and in that position, that's a win for TT. Credit to them. There isn't that much more TT could have done. They're against a Mountain Soul. They're against the, you know, an entrenched Victor who's 8-0-9. Once again, Honky walking away as clear player of the game. Honky having 0 deaths becoming a problem. They should have had a death onto him at 2 minutes 30 or so. The fact that they couldn't, horrific for TT. It's a good engage back. The center E stopping the Nocturne being able to hit the target almost saves the game. Steals the Nocturne ult here. Does Haru to try and make sure they can get onto the target. What happens to the Chaos Storm at the back end here then? Does him dying reset it? It does. Oh, the reset, the kill onto Silas because he'd taken damage from the Chaos Storm ends up resetting the Chaos Storm. Oh, and that ends up getting Junhao killed at the end. It actually might have been a winning fight if he doesn't die there. Or the Chaos Storm times out. Oh, that's sad to see. Hashi trying to jump onto Honky now. He doesn't have a flash. Can they really get enough damage onto him? They have the wild growth. That's a lot of damage. First death of the game. 1,000 gold shutdown. Jumping in now is Junja. They get themselves a bit of enchanting from their bot lane, even with the Mountain Soul. He'll live there. Keshi goes down. Still a one fight, I guess, for the side of JDG, but the 1,000 gold shutdown is scary. Gives some golden pocket for Junhao. Again, you can see how if TT had survived to the point where they can peel back around a Wukong ulting, and then the Senna Seraphine, it's really not bad. I don't think they can steal this. They don't have a smite, of course. Do they look for any kind of fight here? Maybe. Senna getting a Q on target. Heru, does he have an ult to steal? Could he steal the Ashe ultimate, maybe? That'd be pretty big. Heru, got to be careful there. Steals the wall growth instead. A little bit afraid. Encore coming through. The Shen ult now being used. And that's a great play from Xiaoxi. Kills off Heru, who can't get out in time, nor can he cast himself the wild growth. Great play from the top laner. The Xiaoxi's in with a shout for MVP himself. Has Bandle Pipes thirds, by the way. Really wants to start enchanting up his backline. Really not a bad game from the Shen at all. Game 1 and Game 2, TT felt so much more comfortable, and then things started to go wrong, particularly with Heru in that mid-game. Well, laning phase was actually poor enough, really, in Game 2. And I feel like Heru's not been able to pick up the slack quite as well. Junhao is now 1-7 as well. He has been bullied. He has been the first target in many of these fights. This is the problem when you fall behind like this. I mean, the mid lane gank, it should have worked out. It was a great angle. The fact that it didn't, or Honky lived because of the missed chain from Heru, meant that he fell behind, and now he's kind of become the butt of every joke in the team fight now. Very, very hard to play out this game. Turret goes down, the mid lane, the bot lane inner. Remember when Ashe had bonus gold? Yeah, on Hawkshot passive? Yeah, remember people maxing Hawkshot and going, what's it called? Avarice Blade? to try and like go like bank Ashe. Very funny. Is Tank Shen with a Sheen? You do get some AP. You get a decent amount of AP though from the Luskan, which helps there. Flashing forwards, forcing the flash out of Gala, going in for the Cyclone hit with the arrow midway through the dash though. I think that'll be the end of the fight. The Chaos Storm starts ticking, burning. Xiaoxu misses the taunt, but it won't matter. Got himself a bit of extra Sheen damage after that too. The Chaos Storm goes into the Hurricane status. Xiaoxu will walk forwards and Heru. Not much you can do about that. A very clean game from JDG. They saw off the early assault from Junhao and Heru onto Hongqiu, and after that, it just felt as though the game fell away from Thunder Talk. JDG have suffered a blow in this series, but they have rallied very admirably. They go 2-1 up in this series and will have themselves 2 match points to go into round 2 in the upper bracket. A good recovery from JDG after. I guess we'll see whether Xiaoxu knows the matchup or whether Keshi knows it a little better. Let's get into the game. Keshi will find Junja. Careful by Keshi. There's a lot of Qs to eat on the way to lane. Gyros came out through there, but I thought it was worth noting about that. Looks like Arn took a bit of damage from Varus' first skill shot of the game. Gala using Gumayushi's Varus skin. Has a great amount of respect for him as a player. Gala, of course, lost to Gumayushi so many times in the World Championship. And no way to not respect him. Good double Q there from Gala. Guess doesn't get the comment on target, I don't think, but does get the rest of it. Keshi. Ooh, good Vital spawns there. Of course, with Fiora, a lot of laning against Fiora is just how consistently can she get Vitals. It's her sustain, it's her damage. Thorn's Helm from Xiaoxu, so has less regen. Keshi going for a bit more regen himself. Vampire using the W level 1 to tank up 4th shot there. Good farming there from Arn. Gets the triple bounce to the Q. Good dodge away from the Q to the side there by Keshi. Now this matchup will be just captivating our screens. See right there, they're just using the W for the attack speed slow and a little bit for the damage too. Can Harry do enough on the Annie? We shall see. At least this time, JDG have a lot more CC. Cassante can bring it, Maokai has tons of it, Nautilus is one of the highest CC champions in the game. Varus has ult in his E as well. Much more crowd control for JDG. There's TT on the other side that'll be aiming more for individual outplay and skirmishes. Can Keshi make it work on the Fiora? I really like what Keshi's doing there, by the way. Hitting the Vital, queuing out of the tower before the aggro can take place. I haven't seen a Fiora in a long time, folks. You know, the thing about the Fiora in pro plays, you run Scorch and Grass to be a bit of a, you know, a poke champion. Junja walking in towards mid lane. Can Harry get there in time? Gets the stun, stops the full combo coming through. I don't think it'll matter that much, though. Harry caught out early once again. Haru's early game has not been good. First blood to JDG. Catch him out, pushed up in lane. No wards either side of mid. Dies very easily. Haru, well, he missed his own chance to kind of force down enemy mid laner like that last game. Now falls prey to it on the second. Good double E there. Good double Q there as well. They have to stack to stop the Nautilus hook, but then they stack up for the Varus. Good snipe there with a W for the minion. What even was that flash? Trying to get a burst onto Hongqiu. Just doesn't do that much, does it? Well, actually not sure myself. Maybe, I think what he thought was maybe Hongqiu would use his combo right then. Riposte stops the W forwards. Junhao going over towards Raptors maybe. We'll spot them on the respawn if they come through now. Junhao, of course, in this kind of game, will be very, very high range. Ooh, maybe he could catch Junja here. Spots out those saplings. There you go. All right, he's going to look for something fun here. Can he get himself a play around the corner? He'll have full vision of him. Junja has no flash reminder. Or is he just stealing it with the shock blast? Oh, close. Doesn't quite. It goes out of vision around the corner. Could have stolen it away. Can't quite get it, though. Even with the double long swords. Does get small Krug in there. Gala away from bot lane. Ooh, not bad. Forces the cleanse out. Flash onto Arn. So summoners for summoners. Doesn't hit the target. He's actually under turret to take aggro, though. Not sure that's the best target there, but does get double summoners out of arms, so still good victory. I think they maybe could have gotten Feather, though, you know? So 2 summoners for 3. Cleanse and Vampire Flash for both summoners and Arn, and the heal on Feather. Ooh, better there from Kashi. Again, just using that W very liberally here. Good grass proc. Ooh, how did he not get hit by that? Crazy. Standing next to... Oh, I thought he stood next to the wall so he couldn't get Q'd there, but actually does. 10 CS up 15. Actually make that from Kashi. Junja across here. No flash on Arn. No flash on Junja either. Feather needs to get himself a stun now. Hook in, uses the W for the shield, triple stun. Not bad from Feather. That's how he wanted to play. He knew he would get cancelled by the Nautilus hook, but needed the shield so he wouldn't get perma CC'd into death. He did mean to do that, and it works out well for him. Oh, he's not gone for the Scorch second, by the way, the Fury. He's gone for the Inspiration instead. Maybe going for Jack of all trades, or a bunch of different things to go for that, I suppose. Free ass boot's nice as well. Ooh, this can actually be a kill angle. There you go, stop the recall. First strike proc from Jun Hao. He's at actual risk of death now. Does have W, has flash, has ults. Has a pot ticking there too, I believe. Well, you can't exactly roll out the Fiora. Oh, ignores it with the riposte. And the Shock Blast takes him down. Keshi, my boy, that's a hell of a champion to bring out. And he has himself first kill participation. Kill goes to Jun Hao. But there's going to be plates for the Fiora, a wave loss for Xiaoshu. You don't expect the Fiora coming out nowadays, do you, really? Potential dive on bot side, I suppose. Rel coming down. Jun Hao, or sorry, Harry also coming down to cover, potentially. Insane gank from Jace, 2 screens away. Hey, it's not Karthus, right? You know, Karthus ganks you from anywhere on the map. He can gank you from the fountain, actually. So have a Shen jungle as well. River Shen, as it was once known. Oh, even the wave is bad for Xiaoshu. Ravenous Hydra almost in for Keshi. Now, Keshi can't, like, hold the wave anymore, right? He is just going to be playing for perma push down, perma sustain. Already up, though. A chunk of a level. Has a bigger wave to work with, too. Ooh, good nerves there, Keshi. Holds them, doesn't use the W. Of course, the W is what stops Cassante getting a lot of his ability to outplay. Really well played on that dive. It's so satisfying watching a good Fiora play. And JDG, you know, they were already in a bit of a pickle, weren't they? In game 2, potentially could have lost that one. Game 3 was a lot more dominant. A lot more dominant. Very, very well played from Honky, who's once again up in mid lane matchup. Actually, largely dodging out a lot of... He's dodging out on so many Qs, by the way. Keshi loses a bit of life this time. The Bramble Vest is in for Xiaoshu. Oh, there's a honey fruit. Oh, that's a pain. So we might be able to get the push in next. We're still coming in at full HP. Nasty. Burst comes through from Harry. Takes half the HP of Honky. TT is not winning. Well, this is why we watch esports though, right? It's because there's that chance. That open opportunity. TT, I wouldn't have had them taking a game pre this series. However, they've really proved to me that they can actually pull out a good game. Ult coming through from Honky. Going to get the full burst through. Does hit the Qs. Going to get a good passive proc in there. Ultimate landed from Gala. Feather does have the heal. Will use it once he gets out of that field if he needs to. Yeah, there you go. Let's make sure that not going to be completely burst out there. Not bad damage back onto Gala, actually. Feather down some bits and pieces. Ooh, Ginger does have flash. They'll spot now. Jun Hao can jump over the wall. Needs to be careful. Incredible hook from Vampire. That is a top-notch dredge line. Gets the kill very easily. Gala going down very low. Can get himself the kill. Flashes for the auto attack. Gets the kill back. Junja now looking for the kill. Started off, of course, by Vampire. Probably going to be ended by him too. The W goes wide. That is an incredible hook from the Nautilus of JDG. That's not a hook, that's a needle. That's a great line there to Mecha. How the hell does he get that? That is incredible. Wonderful. And that's going to set bot lane very far ahead now. How much can Keshi do on the other side of the map? The team is down 1.5k gold, and that's with Keshi's huge lead in top side. Well, we'll get a replay of it if you didn't see it the last time. It's not bad from Feather. You know, he actually does a good job of disengaging. This bit's fine. The Arn trades well back onto Gala as well. This is not a bad trade from TT, considering that the ultimate was used from Gala. Junja very nearly dies after this, has to flash over the wall. And then what the hell? Why did he click that way? Feather is the one that clicks into it. He's afraid of the Maokai ult, so he clicks right, but puts his hitbox in the wrong direction. Gala flashes, dies anyway. It's a bit of a misplay from him. Probably should have just been the 2 for none, maybe the 3 for none. Did Maokai dodge the Jace Q damage? I don't think he did, but he ended up flashing away from the follow-up after, I think. Didn't actually quite catch it, though. The wave is in an awful spot for TT now. JDG. Good bot side snowball. Teleport up towards top lane from Fiora. They're 3-manning this. Okay. They really want to kill onto Xiaoshu. Does have the W available. Not bad damage in there. Xiaoshu to 2/3 HP. Surprised that they'd 3-man this. Okay. Might go for a kill onto the Cassandra, I suppose. They do have the Fiora ultimate. Has the Ravenous Hydra. Just looking for the plates instead. This feels like a bit of a worse macro play from them. Nautilus coming back up to the tower. So you get the last plate in before the full turret falls. They got 3 grubs, of course, which really helps the Fiora. 4 people strong now on top lane. Honkyu's heading up here too to prevent any larger play. Vampire will back off. They're just going to give the turret. They're going to give the turret, sharing it between 3 different members. They'll get first turrets. Dragon dies on the other side. TT playing for extended lanes. They would prefer to have just extended lanes now at this point. Level 11 coming through from the Fiora. Cassandra denied some more XP, some more gold. Is TT a telecom company? I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I think Thunder Talk's just an esports company, right? Honky roaming about the map now. Of course, Honky player of the series so far. Very, very good series from him. His TF, arguably his best champion on paper, was the worst game from him so far. He's now going to lane up against Keshi. Oh, he doesn't have level 11 yet. I was wrong on that point. First role quest to completed is that top lane one for Keshi. They want him getting as much XP as quickly as possible. What does he do now? Because Keshi's got some hard choices to make in terms of, you know, how does he... oh, they're going to go onto Jun, how they can all out him as well. The Jace should not be stuck in melee range like that. Not bad damage onto Junja, who's going to die very early. Here comes the Aurora. Not bad. Going to the damage onto Jun, how he'll die. Gets a combo back onto Heru as well. Arn's up here, but so is Gala. I don't think Gala can get enough damage down. The Tibbers is not doing the bad work, but it's not nearly enough. A much better map rotation as Honky walks away with a triple. TT, you want to play for Keshi on the side lane. You don't have to be picking these harsh fights on the top side. Great play from Honky and Gala overall. And Junhao is getting shut down continually. TT's mid-jungle, the heroes of game 1, not nearly able to have as much impact in this second one. Misses the shock blast, doesn't have flash. Gets butchered again in this fight. It's not a bad E from him. Xiaoshu gets the all-out, though. Gets the W through. And then when Aurora comes through, it's this kind of game over. This is a 4v3 on top side, though. Vampire's not even in here. Vampire doesn't need to do anything. It's just Honky getting a huge burst. Says a lot that Vampire doesn't even need to be there, you know. 3v4, clean win all the same. Now Fiora's getting gold, but Fiora, the reason why Fiora doesn't get picked is she can't win games like this easily anymore. It's very hard for you to win in a situation like this. The game's just too fast. You know, dragons start going down, gold starts coming through from other different roles on the map. I think one of the biggest changes that happened to League was the changes to dragons to make them kind of just instant win. If you get that soul for all intents and purposes and then Elder afterwards, you can't really play a clean split pushing game anymore. It's very, very hard to. What can Keshi do now? Notice how he's not going for the Essence Reaver, by the way. We have seen that occasionally. I think we've even seen some Hexplate Fiora being built at points. So likely just, well, you know, it's going to be that Triforce, right? But you need that Sheen item second. Death's Dance, obviously one of our most popular items, but there's a bunch to be said about, you know, well, do you want to go more in this game? You could go more, I guess, eventually. Probably can't do that versus the Varus, though. Not bad damage from Arn. Has the building as a rapid fire cannon. Arn's not going to be doing a crazy amount of damage this game. Again, I actually thought that early 2v2 was fine. I think Feather's actually been playing pretty well this series so far. Shock Blast landing onto Honkyu there. Because Junhao will be at a point where he can poke very effectively. XP very even between these two top lanes. That's a problem. TT would have really liked to get an XP lead on Keshi. Because that's when Fiora really starts to get kind of unplayable against us, when she's like a level or two up on you. If this Fiora doesn't do some ungodly carrying in a side lane, this game is just over. JDG have done very well to pick their fights again. They've just been better at moving to plays first on the whole and picking fights better on the whole. Vampire can now roam around the map. Cause a lot of issues. Has the locket in first. Dragon in spawning now. JDG could get themselves to Infernal Soul Point. It's so hard to play the Fiora when you're against that kind of advantage. Teleporting in has a Sheen. They want to fight this. They realize they can't give up Infernal Soul Point. It'd be too much. Scuttle going low. Here comes Kashi. Spotted out. That's going to be not a bad riposte, but now he's alone. Puts out the grand, the big challenge. Just dies. The team weren't on the same page. A great ward from the Maokai, and JDG slaughter the Fiora where she stands. Gala's going to chase down for one more arrow. Heru, you believe, will probably die. Flashes for it, gets stunned. Will maybe make it out alive here now too, actually. I suppose it could have gone a lot worse. But still, JDG get themselves 2 kills. They get themselves a dragon. It's the right angle for Kashi to go into the play, but the team weren't close enough. They can't force the fights. Feather can't even, you know, get himself onto the right targets. JDG, do they even, you know, they're walking up towards Herald. They get themselves 2 objectives in a row. Why not? Very good sapling from Junja. Spots out Kashi. A vampire credit to him. Blows the riposte very easily. Means that there's no extra way to follow through this, really. Junja does have flash. Gets stunned up for now. The CC chain's not bad, actually. We'll try and flash over the wall. Flash predict there from Arn isn't actually needed in the eventually. Junja will die. As that bloodletter's now built up. Kill went over to Harry there, I believe. And the sapling does so much work. Oh, the sapling. Riposte comes through. The flash to the side's good. I mean, if Vampire got stunned up in front of him, perhaps that would have been a free kill onto the Nautilus. Get that ultimate down early. But the rest of the team was zoned up by the Maokai ult. I mean, Honkyu does die. It's a good kill onto the Aurora, at least. Could have been a lot worse. End of the day ends up being... what? Was that actually just the 2-for-1? That's really not that bad, comparative. Don't think they catch the Jace afterwards. Kashi needed to go for the Aurora. I mean, he couldn't do much at that point, I don't think. He needed to just find himself close enough to his team that he wasn't in a 1v3, and he did end up in the 1v3. Has the Triforce now, did complete that item. 2 item Furies, of course, very scary. It's just so hard to play the Fiora in team fights compared to side lanes. You know, whenever a Fiora or a Aurelia, Riven, once they get hit by like 3 people or more, they start dying very quickly. That's why they're duelists. They need low number fights where they can survive, heal, kill 1-for-1. You know, 1-on-1, they beat most people in the game. They're definitely beating almost anyone in this game is Kashi's Fiora. Now, Kashi is an exciting player. We did see him get bodied by Sheer. He's done quite well versus Xiaoshu. I mean, I thought his Gnar earlier in the day was quite good. Problem is, what do you do as TT about this mid-jungle? Now, Jun has doing fine, but Heru, now for the 3rd game in a row, has just not been part of the game. He's been destroyed. Honky, you kind of expect it from him, but he's picking difficult matchups at points, like the Ahri into the Orianna. He's not getting rewarded for it, and he's messing up in the moments which he's picked it for, where you have that playmaking in place. Keshi, off on the side here now. Check out that try. Well, does he take that pink ward below? Yes, he does. Fiora can't carry these team fights, surely, can she? If she does, it'll be a miracle. Gala has the Edge of Night second. Protects himself from something like the Rel Flash Engage a little bit more. Appreciate the sub all the way tag. Thank you so much for that. JDG, their objective fights are so much cleaner than TT. Look, I think JDG do have... Look, again, we've said this earlier in the series. They're not a perfect team. They make mistakes. They're volatile individual players. But they're very good at objectives. Shock Blast there, actually. Ooh, W even lands. Through the Edge of Night. I think it was just the first strike damage which landed there, interestingly. Or it might have been the... Oh, it might have been the Voltaic, which procs it as well, maybe. Not exactly sure how that works. Might have been the Shock Blast procs the Voltaic anyway. So the shit, so you take a little bit of damage. Not a crazy amount, but enough. Dragon down 40 seconds. The poke's got to come through thick and heavy. Celestial Opposition taken down on Vampire, so he takes a bit of damage. Not a huge amount. The defensive item is now on cooldown. Good. Arrow there onto Arn, because of course poke is available on both sides. Keshi walking down across the map. Now keeping Xiaoshu away. Can't stop Xiaoshu from teleporting, but would be able to take about 50% of his HP off, I think, before he gets through to the plate. Let's try and just chunk him out. I think Keshi doesn't want to be part of this. I think they want it to be a 4v4, but they're losing the 4v4. Vampire, very low, very low. Okay, now maybe it's playable. Now maybe it's playable. Vampire doesn't have something like a spellbook for a teleport. Does Keshi teleport in himself now? Dragon going to get started. Where's the Jin W? Can they stop it? Arn, forced off. He can't W in time. Keshi taking plates on top side. Mid lane turret taken though. Dragon started. Does Keshi teleport down? No. Nautilus coming back out of the map. Maokai Q Smite is really hard to out damage. Getting leash, and they're just going to take it. They just take it. Harry goes in for a bit of a stun. Can't get much. Infernal Soul is down. Keshi comes over. Can he get anything onto Gala? He's flashed already. He's in a 1v4 though, and Keshi can't do enough. The objective play from JDG, far more composed, far more calm. JDG will clean up, what, at least 4 kills out of this? Maybe even all 5. Yeah, Junhao, I don't think he'll be escaping this one. JDG got a little bit sucker punched in the first game, and maybe should have lost another one beyond that point. But TT just out-fought at the objectives. Very calm play from JDG. You just take things in their stride. They get chunked out on the list. No problem. We can still go towards the objective. He'll make it back there in time. They just root themselves into an area of the map with a long-range champion like the Victor earlier in the day, like the Orianna, the Varus, which they've played today. And TT have not been good enough to unseat them from that position of power. Harry flashes forward to try and stop the Maokai Q Smite. He dies anyway. Flashes and dies. Haru, this series has not been a good one for him, and then Keshi ends up going into the 1v4 effectively. Second time he's teleported in, second time it has not led to nearly enough. And now what does TT do? You lose this, you go down to the lower bracket. In Group Nirvana, a brief moment of hope. Slammed so truly shut in front of them. A pick down onto Feather. It's not bad damage onto Honkyu. Goes into his W though, and with a Locket Shield, he make it out fine. Junha goes down as well. Junja not really feeling like he's taking that much damage. Keshi's around the back again. Flash forward, and Honkyu goes down. On. Good calculation there. Not that bad. Keshi. He do that much? Doesn't feel like it. A level down on Cassante now. JDG will get themselves... Well, they don't even get themselves the Baron off of that. Fair play. TT stopped the Baron going over. Jump forwards. Protobelt denies the spell shield and the stun lands afterwards. Hey, Sam, what's up? Oh, thank you. Brought me another drink mid-game. Appreciate you.
I think you need it with this one.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Well, JDG have clearly been the better team here today. They have been. You know, TT, they've had opportunities, but they've been rarely able to seize them. Baron started. No ward coverage on it now by TT. The ward towards the north of Baron has been spotted out. It's not been a bad showing, I think, from TT in some individual roles. I think Keshi's actually been alright on the whole. TT is a team, though, just a little bit behind. JDG, Honku, their hero, gets a great chunk onto Feather there. Stop a lot of their engage coming through. The Maokai Q Smite will come through again. Get themselves the kill onto that objective. Honku just obliterates the Rel. They're really made out of metal. Makes it look like made out of wood. Burned at the stake. Spell shield of that ultimate is blown by the ultimate of Heru. Can't really get much done there either. The Annie just not really landing a punch hit. His rise was excellent in game 1. Got MVP from that. But beyond that, has been a rough series for Heru, as we've been saying. Not an awful showing for him. I guess the Senna wasn't great from him. Hang on, jumping on towards Junja. Trying to get himself a bit of an outplay. No flash on him. He's going to get the kill. All right, not bad from Keshi. Fair play. Gets the kill onto the Maokai. Not in time for something like an Elder, which TT will now have to play around. Keshi, credit to him. Can kill those tanks very quickly. However, Shashi gets a full turret on the other side. So we'll be getting some extra gold from that. So the actual gold difference, it's not even there for Keshi anymore. Didn't mind this draft from TT. Just again, feels like, you know, Heru giving up a little bit too much pressure in the mid lane. TT not quite judging what happened well in that bot lane, with Feather getting that free hook onto him. JDG have been more composed and more calm in the moment. Executed better on the whole. Also, after this as well, we do have another series, which I believe is Top Esports versus LGD. Top Esports LGD, second series of the day. Reminder that each of our teams vaguely got to choose the opponents they faced. BLG chose WE, JDG chose TT, I believe it was. And then I think it went all the way down to EDG being last pick. Yeah, so AL kind of got left with the dregs, really. Top Esports chose LGD over EDG. The shock blast there from Junhao. 3-item Jace. Can it do enough? 20 seconds till Elder. JDG is so good at controlling these objectives, though. I just don't ever really believe now that TT can work themselves into a spot where they can actually fight for the dragon. Because fighting against a Maokai, Varus, Nautilus, who are actually on an objective, pretty hard to play. Spell shield blown onto Junhao. Honku not going to have his blown on the other side. Good arrow from Gala onto Feather. And again, just the poke was not bad. Here comes the ultimate from the Jhin. Could have been worse. Goes in, does Feather. Trying to get some damage onto the Nautilus, and it doesn't really feel like it does that much. Honku walking forwards. Combo onto Keshi. Heal up a little bit more off the wave. Dragon's now a half HP. Can they get in for a steal? Junhao, I mean, Jace is not good at stealing objectives. I think it's going to go down anyway. Not bad from Heru. Gets some damage onto Gala. Elder Dragon goes low. Who gets it? It's going to be JG, which do. Not bad damage onto Gala, but I think they have the damage to clean up the fight anyway. Flash over the wall. A bit more CC. And all out, and Keshi should die, I suppose. Not going to get burned down just yet. Not a bad angle from Heru. JDG will recall with the Aurora, teleport back into the play, and they'll end off this series 3-1. They lost the game. I'm not sure they expected that. Should have realistically lost 2 games of that game 2 as well. We had a Fiora in game 4 to end off the series from TT, but even then, an LPL Classic cannot save TT from the jaws of defeat. I don't think this is the end of the game right now, actually. They'll get the inhibitor and they'll leave. It's a little bit slow on killing those towers. No AD carry left alive, and no great tower killer between all of them. Well, this is the plays again at the start of the fight. Gala, great arrow onto Feather. And, you know, Harry teleports at a very long angle. It's just not close enough. So Feather just kind of dies. But JDG, they just take it all in their stride. You know, they're on the objective first. Harry doesn't get a bad combo, I suppose. Gala, one of those hit by it. But what can Jace do? Does actually get in range for the smite. Little bit spooky for a moment there. Elder's still got a third of its duration remaining. Feather's level 9. What? He's level 10 now. No. Moving up in the world. Eh. Towel be broken around that bot lane inhibitor. JDG. Our second best team in split 1. First stand representatives. Dipped a little bit coming into this split, but then worked their way back up to being top 2 again by the end of regular season. That is a lot of damage onto Gala, actually. Keshi going low, gets hooked, has the Elder burning on him still, and he'll burn down because Aurora has the extra damage needed. Great double combo there from Honkyu. Junhao nearly burning down himself. The Infernal Soul Elder is just not fair to give over to the Aurora. The damage is absurd, and there you go. Example of it. On cleanses away. But sadly, you can't cleanse away the strongest CC, which is death. Xiaoshu somehow even makes it off the Nexus alive. Off the fountain. On putting some love taps into his old support, which played together on IG. Vampire was the better of them today. JDG will win 3-1. After a bit of a shock loss in game 1, rally admirably to end the series. At EuroLeague 2, there's a chance that we continue on with Kira, I, and then a third. Maybe Sam comes and joins us, maybe someone else, we'll see. But yeah, all good things must come to an end, but some things are just beginning. Game 1 of the series here. Rinse Gen Gen in NIP's arena. No longer in playoffs themselves, though. Didn't make it through play-ins. Let's see the Gyos. Really glad to see people turning out to see LGD. Of course, one of the old great organizations here in the LPL, all the way since 2012 they've been playing. Hook traded for the crash down. But the HP advantage is on to the AD carry for top esports, because Jackie Love didn't really take that much damage himself. HP on the AD carry always matters a little bit more than anything else. Hook is going to go wide. Fungyue gets the auto attack from the passive, and they're still winning this, right? Because they still get the damage onto the AD carry, they're happy. Y6 also misses his crash down. Should bring me on. Oh, wait for the cast? I mean, I wasn't, I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't that very organized about it today. So, is what it is. But yeah, NIP, of course, their arena hosting plus, but they're not even in it. No, they lost to EDG against their all AD carry and leave. Disaster for them. We'll be seeing EDG play tomorrow. They'll be playing against Anyone's Legend. So we have EDG, Anyone's Legend, and then we have WEBLG. Those will be the 2 matchups tomorrow. I can't remember which order they're in. If you need to know the, by the way, if you need the, if you need the schedule for playoffs, I've actually put the entire schedule in as a schedule for my Twitch stream, so you can end up going through onto my channel and exporting that as a Google Calendar, put it straight into your calendar. So now I just check the schedule on my phone. Very, very helpful it is. Recall not interrupted there. Recall coming through from Jackie Love. See if he goes for like a first item cull, something like that. Yeah, he does. Don't always see it on the Misfortune, but works here. W works. Flash forward maybe. Flash for flash. That's valuable, that. Means that now at the level 6, first shockwave of the game, Tong Yuan won't be able to flash a shockwave. YCX. As we said, very good series from him in play-ins. One of the key reasons they beat Weibo. Fighting over the bot Scuttle Crab now. Aftershock blown onto both support. Crash down interrupted. Fear Tether's going to come off, but it's not going to complete. And I think that Tien just walks to them and kills them. Now this is a problem. Double flash away. That's going to be 1 dead. Perhaps a second afterwards. YCX goes down as well. 2 kills to top esports. They picked the Nocturne to do some early damage. That's now failed. Bot lane's not working out particularly well for them either. And now a kill's gone onto both carries. Now, Top East was one of the big worries for them coming out of the back end of regular season was the fact that their drafts were not looking good. Swian in particular felt pretty bad if he wasn't on counter pick, and Tien was no longer getting the best of the invade style of jungling that the LPL had really played this split, and in fact the entire world had played this split. Top Scuttle crab now fought over. Hung will be able to get that away, walking up towards the end. This, well, credit to them, they still want to continue the fight. Fear Tether comes through. Feng Yue, of course, another newer player here, lands himself a hook squarely onto a Nocturne. Bit of a weird fish to bring up on the end of your dredge line, but hey, it's a kill. It's got a lot of gold attached to it. Now suddenly a kill for Tien as well. Walks over towards the Raptors respawn. Oh, that's horrible for Hung. Now, what does he do now? Tien is having such a good early game. And no, when it came out of Split 1 to Split 2 this year, when we had, you know, Suyan come in for 369, Tien come in for outgumming, Nio, of course, which went out with great controversy. Jackulov come in for Jatchi, and then Feng Yue remain on the roster, of course. You know, the triple switch for them. The big thing I asked of Top Esports was, look, you don't have to be good in regular season. Just turn it on in playoffs. Now, this is a good first draft for them, which I'm happy for. And it looks like Tien is having a good early game too. Now, these are things which I don't want to see them over one game. I want to see them over multiple series of play. But Top Esports are one of those teams which, you know, if they lock in with these kind of players, with Tien and Jackulov, they are very high performing for LPL caliber. At least within regular season, or at least within, you know, pre-finals, I guess. Time to jump onto Tongyuan. Tongyuan does not have himself a flash. That's going to be a problem. He's into a pillar. Shockwave already. Chomp goes the Trundle. Down goes the Rise. I think LGD have tried to come out swinging. Instead, they've ended up batting out, really. Striking out. Ah, that's the one. Yeah. So, folks, I've been watching Ace of Diamond recently. Anime about baseball. Baseball's on the mind. I've never even really played baseball. You know, in the UK, we play Rounders, which is like a simplified version of baseball. Yeah. Anyway. Wait until they start throwing like the... maybe early jungle invades. They're like a knuckleball. They're so hard to hit. And yeah, anyway, it is what it is. Crash down. Coming through from YCX. Great damage on the Shire. Very nearly dying himself. No flash and Jackulov to follow up. 2v2 spicy. Leads to summoners and a lot of HP, but no kills to the side of Top Esports. I think LGD just really misjudged this early game, and they had to play through early game too. They had to play through early game. You know, you have the Nocturne. You really wanted to make some damage happen, but then the Trundle pick coming through, just saying, okay, we're just going to fight for level 1. We're not going to go for the Jarvan. Now, if Top Esports had picked Jarvan, maybe LGD win early, because Nocturne beats out Jarvan in the 1v1 in jungle very early on. Well, all the time, really, but yeah. I know a lot of people out there obviously have quite strong opinions on Top Esports because they're multiple poor showings internationally. But if you watch them regionally, particularly in playoffs runs, Top Esports are a hell of an org within LPL. And Jackulov, Tien are incredibly successful players here within a, you know, placing metric anyway. Cream is a player that's starting to really come into his own too. I think this split from Cream is one of his best in memory. First half of the split especially. I think second half of the split he started to get shown up a little bit more. You know, there was the series versus Anyone's Legend, I think, which really rocked him. But still, a player which really deserves a lot of praise. Nocturne's coming out of base, got their first back of the game, heading towards that that Hex Plate. Gives you a lot of extra combat power, and of course your ultimate being off cooldown so much more. Jackulov, very strong. Early game misfortune, even with a cull. He's got the BF sword early, you know. Shire's matched the cull because you, as an AD carry, you never want to be cull to no cull. That feels really bad because it means that eventually they'll just get a bunch more gold. They get to their first or second item a lot quicker than you, and you feel just outvalued. Hook for crash down. YCX activates the aftershock. And I mean, the Rel being played in both series today, didn't expect to see so much Rel priority, but I guess if a lot of enchanters are going out the window and melee supports are getting buffed a little bit more again, Rel was always one of our LPL favorites here. I don't love the fact that such big champion changes to enchanters, which inform so much of the meta right now, are coming straight before MSI and before playoffs. At least it's happened before playoffs, I guess. The minion aggro bug was out, not the bug. The minion aggro change in terms of range to melee matches really changed those. So if you're playing stuff like Victor or Ari versus someone like Silas, you really wanted to be able to drag a minion into the middle of the lane through that weird aggro technique and reset the lane instead of having them be able to keep it on the tower. Surprised they did that in the middle of a season rather than doing it in pre-season. Grub's taken by LGD, all three of them, I believe. Triforce for Tien. If you get fed on Trundle, you allow yourself to go for the Triforce. The Triforce is a reward for an early game done well. Now, if you're not doing that well, you just go for, like, Sundered Sky into Spirit Visage, which gives you very good on-the-spot healing, very good tankiness. What Triforce does, though, means that you, well, at this point, a Triforce Trundle will outduel any member on LGD if you actually get to auto-attack them. You also become a tower-pushing threat. Trundle is the best tower-killing jungler in the game. No, he just walks up, puts the W down, can chomp a little bit, and it's a real problem. In fact, way back in the day, what Riot used to do to balance Trundle was basically say, oh, he's too strong, we'll make sure his Q doesn't work on towers. He's too weak, his Q no longer works on towers. Because that chomp, when you have a Triforce and the Q, is absurdly good onto towers. Just walk up, crazy amount of attack speed, crazy amount of Sheen procs, tower falls down. There'll always be enchanted pre-internationals. Well, that wasn't the case beforehand. No, in last few years, melee supports have been so meta for such a long time. Now, at MSI and First Stand, we've seen more Enchanter meta. At Worlds, we see less of it. I think, you know, I wish that they'd done more Enchanter nerfs before 2017 Worlds, with the Ardent Center meta. Oh god, the Ardent Center meta was a hard time to watch Pro League of Legends. Very difficult, but... the game slowed down a lot, but, I mean, top East was just wait until first item. Jackalov's got a cull soon. Tien has his Triforce, as we said, which is a very expensive first item, and actually was a very important one too. Hung's yet to pull his first ult of the game. Doesn't have the Hexplate, of course, or any Ultimate Hunter stacks. 0 and 2 out of the early game, which is very not helpful for that too. Doesn't have any Ult Hunter in general, actually. He's running the Inspiration second rune. Oh well, means he can't get that lower cooldown reduction, but hey, not always the most important thing. Always got enough from the Hexplate. Birdall heading topside. Recall came in already. Oh, maybe it didn't. Okay, I was wrong. That didn't work at all. Birdall flashing away. So double ults for Flash. But Birdall also very low HP now. Almost an easy death for Birdall. Now, Birdall, last time he was in the LPL, because he spent, you know, a year here, then he went over to, I believe it was CBLOL did he go over to? And he came back here. Birdall, last time he was on LGD, he actually played quite well in 2024. He was a kind of a gatekeeper top laner, very, very good against anyone who wasn't like a top 4 top laner. Then against them, he'd kind of fall apart. As he's come into LGD this year, I feel like there's been a lot of inconsistencies in his play. He's gone for quite ambitious picks or ambitious plays. And he's just ended up losing too much value, either through mis-executing on a big play or not quite getting it done in lane. Right there again. That wasn't... I mean, I think that was a good play from Top Esports rather than a... well, a little bit of a lazy play from him. Tien doing a double camp there. Smites away. Almost a full level overhung. Yeah, that's rough. Suyan, for people who are only tuning into playoffs now, you might not know him, because hang on a second, gets out of vision there. Jackalov is very much caught and just going to die. Alright, great little vision play from YCX. Not exactly sure how Feng Yue ended up being caught in the enemy jungle and YCX got behind him, but hey, they'll take that. Jackalov doesn't burn the flash. Barrier blown. Xiaoyu gets the kill. That's a good start for LGD. They need more of that, really. Anything to get them just get a foot in the door. Do you think that Hun can do anything late? Sometimes Nocturne can get a bit... Oh, Fungyue. He tried to flash hook. I didn't see that one live, so Fungyue tried to flash hook and failed. Best forget that one. You're lucky I didn't see that one live, Mr. Fungyue. Who I actually think on the whole has been a pretty good support. In fact, when Top Esports was slumping, there's actually an argument to say that he was the best player on the team. It probably was Jack11 instead when they were all slumping. Well, oops. I'm not maybe it does save his life, actually. But they didn't have the ultimates there. Well, Shayep. A little bit more gold into the game than perhaps he was owed then. Going to be very even in gold, actually, when it comes out to the coal popping from Shayep. Hook landing onto YCX. Doesn't have the flash himself. Okay, well, Shockwave in as well. Double ultimates. Yes, you're going to kill the damn Rel. So suddenly engage support down. This is one of the reasons we see less Rel, by the way, is that you can full send on her and then she just kind of dies. She can't survive in the way that Aleona with W can, Alistair with ult, Braum with shield, Nautilus being able to hook out to plays very easily too, or things like that. Fungyue does have flash, so they force it now. Might just walk up for the passive, actually. Hook lands onto the spell shield. Teleport coming through from the Ambassador. They'll be in a 4v5. Realm Warp coming in. There's no flash on him now, so that'll be one for none. All right. Not bad response from LGD. I thought initially that teleport could be quite bad, but then they send the Realm Warp in the Paranoia. So teleport 2 ults used. Fungyue towards the back end of regular season. And 1 or 2 rough ones. Hoping to hang on a sec. Y6 just dies to this, by the way. The Triforce is really scary. He puts the ult on him, and he's just going to kill him. All right, Tien steals the stats. He's going quite low now, but not before he actually ends up taking a lot of skills out. This is going to be at least a 2 for 1. Suyan into melee range of Birdle, who doesn't have flash. This is going to be a 3 for 1. 3 for 2 if you include Fungyue, who died just before that. Top Esports walk away with the winning play because Tien is so goddamn strong. We were saying this beforehand, right? You know, Trundle, very, very good on the Triforce spike. If you can actually afford to get it early, it really changes things. Hang on, Fungyue. It's a level down on him. Another E lands. Suyan has the red buff. He's just going to put the Flame Spitter on, and Suyan's really feeling it. Takes a kill onto Tongyuan too. Make that 4 for 2 over the extended play, and Suyan gets 2 of them. Very, very strong play from the Rumble. Realize, actually, you know, with the slows, I can start really burning him. Doesn't even have the Deathfire Touch. Went for the Comet for the more consistent poke value, I suppose. But the Deathfire Touch, not even used there. So he goes topside. Takes the turret there, I believe, with the grubs. Sorry, they don't get the grubs because LGD had them there. But Tien realizes, look, I can just steal your stats, both your AD and your resist, and I can make a big play. Now, Ambassador commits the ultimate. They do get a good amount of damage, even through the subjugate. Then Suyan, Equalizer, gets into the overheat range as well, or at least into the critical spot. Overheat comes a bit late. Whatever, doesn't matter. 4k up from the early game now, Top Esports. And Top Esports, you know, I think they've been waiting for a bit of an uptick in form again from Suyan. Suyan was very, very good at the start of the split, to the point where actually some people put Suyan in their all-pro. I wouldn't have myself, because I think his second half of the split was a large step down, but then again, there were a lot of top laners who had quite inconsistent splits, so I can understand the logic here. I'll charge into mid lane. First turret down in that lane for Top Esports. 2 to 1 across the entire game in terms of turrets. 2 dragons to Top Esports team, not even falling behind in the objective game. This brings you back to the fact that LGD needed to do something early game. It just hasn't happened. Turn on the aircon beside me. Say Archon, it's just a fan. Is what it is. Well, Shire's about to get to a second item. Perhaps a Corki on a 2-item spike can do some damage to take out a target in amongst the mess. But against the Shockwave, the Pillar, the Zone Denial of the Bullet Time and the Make It Rain, the Equalizer, Depth Charge, I think Top Esports have got themselves a very good composition where, yes, there is a lack of ball delivery system. The fact that LGD are now behind and a lot of them are melee, is going to make the Shockwave a lot easier to land alongside all of these other zone tools. Because what's going to happen now is top esports are going to turn up first to every objective, because they're winning lanes, they're in control of the map. LGD don't have ways to force them off the objective themselves. So then LGD are going to have to go into the Dragon and into the Baron fights at a disadvantage. And it will really just be on whether the Realm Warp plus the Paranoia can open up an extra angle of attack for LGD. YCX as well, really struggling to get a foothold on the map. Vision control very much in favor of top esports. As you can see right there, YCX on vision again. Now, top esports seems like they are taking this game very seriously. I think JDG in the first series of the day versus TT did get a little bit flustered in game one. I think their draft was poor, and I think that they got a little bit out macroed as well, as TT found a lot of ways to stop the TF from having value. Dragon spawning soon. LGD want nothing to do with that. They're going to take a sideline turret instead. Stride breaker for Hung coming soon. Tung Yuan gets himself that top turret. 1,000 gold behind because Cream's got so many kills though. Ah, sucks for him. Bomb steal away. It's not like LGD can do much about it. But what can LGD do much about though? I don't think they can really find many engages. Maybe the Nocturne can catch someone overextend with the Paranoia, but you don't have the vision control to determine that. So one of the big things about playing something like a Nocturne is that you want to push up, get vision, and then you have so much extra ability to pick your plays. Now you're just going to have to like wing it a little bit. Just hope that, you know, you pull your ultimate and no one's there. Very hard to do that though. Crazy that Tien is not on all three All-Pro this split. I mean, his back half of this season was pretty bad, but yeah, his first part of the split was so damn good. I don't disagree. Hung. It's actually a little bit afraid from that because, again, yeah, Jaculov, look at that damage. Has a collector second. In a game like this, without many tanks, makes a decent amount of sense, and also because you have the Trundle ultimate. If you get the Trundle onto a target, which is the percent armor pen, and then you get the collector after, it actually makes more sense. So I think actually, particularly when you have a Trundle in the game, there's not a huge amount of armor stacking. I think it actually makes more sense even to go towards the collector. Cream actually going to Protobell away. Was maybe afraid of the Paranoia and or the Realm Warp coming in. Second item is nearly done across the board now. 4,000 gold lead to top esports. And they have an Infernal Soul in 3 minutes. Can just play it slow if they want. Top esports, one of our... When top esports are in form, they are one of our best teams at playing out this kind of phase of the game where, you know, they get enough gold from side lanes, they approach objectives well, they don't leave openings on the map very easily. This is when they're on form, of course. One of the problems is when they're off form, then, of course, they misjudge those things, and it doesn't go nearly as well for them. Who have you got? Peak top esports versus peak JDG for next round? If it's peak of both... Ooh. If it's peak of both, I think it's top esports, because I think that jungle support from JDG can get a little bit ran around in early game. When against teams in the LPL which have got better, you know, jungle support synergy. I think Honky versus Cream is a very fun matchup though. Hung caught out. Does have to fear tether. Will he have to flash? He certainly does. Flash blown on either side. Not quite the CC chain onto the Nocturne. We'll make it out over the blast cone. I think the thing about top esports is like when you've got someone like Suyan in top lane versus Xiaoxi, there's a chance that gets very volatile. I think as it stands, I think it's more on, I guess it's a lot of it's based on coaches, right? Because I think if I think top esports should be a better team than JDG at peak, I think. Which I know is crazy given how good JDG have been and how good their players are, but top esports do have Jaculov and Tien. And then their Cream has been very good for a while. I think Cream can absolutely hold a similar value to Honkyu. Even with Fengyue, who's a newer support, even with Suyan, who's a very much newer top lane, even though he did come in 2024 on that same team that Vampire was on, actually, IG 2024. I think that top esports, definitely a team to be feared. Hey, Sasha, thanks for the follow. Appreciate you. It's a close matchup, though, between peak top esports and peak JDG, if they meet in the next round. Very slow game over the last, 5-10 minutes. The very early game was very explosive, and then LGD tried to shut up shop, but I think the damage is done. I think they already picked the fights, they lost them, and then top esports got control. Dragon now in less than a minute, and it's a very, very early Infernal Soul. Potential fight of YCX onto the Rumble, who flashes out of the initial bit of CC. Fear Tether comes through. There comes the Ambassador trying to get the shockwave, and they do get it with the shield on top of it. Not bad. A great rescue attempt from top esports. They're not going to lose a single member. Songyun has flashed onto Tien. Will make sure the chomps keep slowing, keep stealing stats, and Songyun will go down. Birdle dies on the back end of that play too. Ends up being a 4-4-none. Top esports lose no members in the attempts, and now we're dragging up in 20 seconds. LGD, I think this is probably where the that was the grand finale, I think, of this game. That was as good as it gets from them. Top esports will be very much claiming that soul going into the lead. Well, I mean, that's a It's not a bad attempt onto the Rumble. You want to find someone isolated before the fight comes through. They do that. They just don't have the damage. And top esports are just a little too quick. It's a flash shield to save Suyan and get the extra CC from the shockwave. It's a good attempt from Suyan. Sorry, good attempt from LGD onto Suyan. But Infernal Soul very early. One of the things which we noticed about JDG earlier in the day was that they were very, very good at walking at dragons and getting them. And at the end of the day, if you're a good League of Legends team and you can play well around dragons, for the last 5 years of play, that will give you wins. Even if everything else fails, if you can just walk to an objective and play it out better, you're in with a good shot. Infernal Soul now in. Baron will now be the next objective, which they just sit and walk at. Hung, I guess, could look to ult into the pit and look for a steal. Cream got to be a little careful here, but does have the spell shield, which gives him a bit more room for error. Shockwave onto 2, not bad. Just chunks them out, make sure that no one can even walk up and put a ward. Baron goes down. Hung not even range to... Not even... doesn't even have the vision, really, to try and get in range of that Baron with the ultimate. LGD. I didn't like their draft, and as soon as things went wrong early, this felt like that was kind of game over, really. Paranoia comes through. The Equalizer used to dissuade the knockdown from flying forwards. That is a nasty old shot, but yeah, the Infernal Soul will do a lot of damage. Mate, that too. Tien takes another one down. Songyun goes to meet the others in the afterlife, and now top esports will find themselves with Infernal Soul, Baron, 3 dead. This is elementary. This is elementary. LGD have been wiped from the board. Now, we did say that LGD are a very volatile team themselves. They've had very big ups and downs over the last year or two. The last time they were in Group Ascend, in a position which they're in now, I believe was sometime in summer 2024. I think it was. Long time ago. I think the last time they were there was when Birdle was here. It's been a long time, though, ever since the groups have been put in. I think LGD were in the first Group Ascend, and then they dipped down after that point. Well, right here, they're against a team which has been there for the long run. Shia very nearly dying again. Nexus turret under siege at 27 minutes. Baron buff still on for another minute and a half. Top esports, they are taking no prisoners here. Tien has been disgustingly strong on the Trundle. Gets a Orianna shield for good measure. Double cannons starting to take some of the HP off of that, and then the last remaining Nexus turret. It is a 5v5 in the base. LGD have defender's advantage, and they can regen up a little bit. Equalizer is back off a cooldown. It's not that bad. That's actually an okay cancel of the bullet time, but they're going to die anyway. They just don't have the stats. The subjugate comes through, and you might have cancelled the bullet time, but all they need is a few seconds anyway. Top esports will take the first game in blistering speed, less than 28 minutes. Top esports 1-0 on the board. All right, into game 2. Top esports smashed game 1. LGD with a bit of chefsmanship. That chefsmanship cooking. That's the one. What the hell's chefsmanship? Anyway, let's hear the gyros. Oh god, that's loud. Suyan eating over the wall. What are you doing there? What are you doing? Surely he's not going to walk at the Neferi. He is. He's going to walk straight at the Neferi. Well, he's going to lose a lot of XP from top lane, but it is going to slow down Hung on the clear. Now Hung has to go towards the Raptors instead. What does Birdall do in this top lane matchup now? Flashing for the Cocoon, not bad. Gets the Q on target, and the Ignite's down as well. Doesn't die, I don't think, to a last bit of damage, but of course with the... Oh, God, good damage onto Shia. I was about to say, with the E leveled up level 1, we only have the Repel. Hang on, he's got quite close to the Cocoon, but not quite on target there. If that hits, that's a dead Ezreal. Shia, no barrier, but does have the flash. Tien, level 2. Surely you can't go for a level 2 gank here. There's a flash on Shia, not on YCX. I don't think he has the damage to kill YCX, does he? He was hanging around in case there was another play going forward. Thank you so much for the sub there, Exotaurus. Great to see you there. Thanks for the Prime. If anyone else does have any subs lying around, Prime free for this month, it would make a lot of difference if you used it here. Then this is our job. Good Cocoon again there, actually, from YCX. Can't follow up with this one, though. Thorns are both 80 carries, by the way, really helping out their attack speed early. Not actually sure it's always the best item early lane. You know, Doran's Blade can actually be surprised. When you play without Doran's Blade, you realize how much those stats actually mean. But attack speed for 80 carries always feels nice. Birdall condemns a minion. Okay, that's you really showed that minion what's what. Can't cancel out the recall there. Good block by Feng Yue. YCX, good control of the lane so far. And again, one of the biggest stories of LGD versus Weibo was the fact that YCX probably played the best games of his life. You know, I've watched his entire career here in the LPL, and he's been middling and fairly inconsequential. In that series versus Weibo, he was spectacular. Hey! Didomon, appreciate that. I almost misread that. I didn't know. But Didomon, thanks for the sub. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for the support. Makes a lot of difference. Jackal of 3 on Ezreal, 3-0 on Ezreal this split. First games of the Wukong and the Zahen for the team this split. Tongyuan is, you know, he's 1-0 on the pick. You know, I'm just saying, LGD have won a game with Vayne. It was just in mid lane versus a Malphite of all picks. Genji on one screen, me on the other. Thank you, I appreciate that, Soikrom. Birdall gets the Vayne this time using the Spirit Blossom skin. Tien walking into the enemy jungle. Early jungle matchup has been completely fine this time. You know, Tien got very far ahead in that last game. I think that if you haven't watched a lot of LPL regular season, the biggest thing to learn and to know about is the fact that I think LPL has perhaps the best junglers in the world, and the way that they play right now is trying to get an advantage over each other. So they try and get into the enemy jungle as early as possible, as impactfully as possible, make a difference. Goes for the repel, takes a lot of damage in there, and Y6 goes down. Jackal may die on the other side, does have the lethal tempo. Feng Yue, does he have any more abilities to cast? No, he doesn't. It means that the lethal tempo from Shai is going to be the difference maker. Needs one more auto attack. Not quite enough. So close, surviving on under 20 HP. Tien flashing, has the warrior trickster. Xiaoya pops the amount of lives at him. Oh, Xiaoya gets a kill, gets out. Not quite the 2-for-1, but gets the 1-for-1 and the extra flash out of Tien. Not bad there. In mid lane, Tongyuan's very even with Cream. This was the worry actually for the Annie, is that, well, the Annie doesn't have bad lane matchups. You can neutralize her. Stuff like Galio and Sion can do fine, and then they can outvalue her later. Although, actually, no, the Galio can actually get bullied out. But the Sion in particular, I really like this pickup. Very few things force Sion out from lane nowadays, and actually force him to play very respectfully or lose a lot of CS. Ah, yeah. Me too, Nico. Me too. Sometimes I feel like throwing random magical skill shots at people. Disconnect from TM, so I'd imagine there's a networking issue there, or some kind of hardware issue, and we'll get back into game shortly. Just noticed the Sion mid. Yes, it was a last pick Vayne, which flexed the Sion into mid lane, so the Vayne goes top lane. I think that top esports thought that they would be getting a counter pick of the Zahen into the Sion. They denied that with the Vayne. I think this is something that should be explored more often. I think LPL started doing that with Jace going from top lane into jungle. They started doing it with, you know, the Vayne now as well, I suppose. A couple of different flex picks. Not that often we see the flex picks nowadays. I think a lot of teams just viewed flex picks as just not worth putting their time into. No, we used to see things like Rel jungle support, Maokai jungle support, Tristana can be flexed across 3 roles. Technically 4 if you're brave enough to play at jungle. I think a lot of teams just decided, nope, it's not worth the R&D to make sure that that champion can be played in multiple roles, and it makes the difference. Or to make the difference, rather. I think if you're a team like LGD, though, this is one of the ways you can get some very good upsets, and I think that flex picks, it's sad to see the art of the flex pick being less used than it was in the past. Varus, of course, between top lane and jungle, too. Top lane and AD carry, too. Ugh. Gosh, bad. I'm surprised we don't get Onivia support more often, flex more often, because I think it's pretty strong from support. It's very good in mid lane, top lane, and support in different spots, right? Technically even good as a bot lane APC at points, too. Only thing it can't play is jungle. Just too much mana costs. I think the problem with something like that is that you need specific matchups for all of them, but then you should be practicing for that. If you have the time for it, yeah, practice those flex picks. Very good. I just realized I'm on the wrong scene again. I can do this with a social banner. Haha, there you go. Yeah. Advertising myself. Oh yeah, next month we're going to have Opera GX back, so we'll have that up and again, so I appreciate that. Hey, Noob, how's it going? Thanks for the follow. Okay, I'm going to go take a quick break for a drink. Rest assured, I'm still here. Hey, Harold, how's it going? Found a new short for me, like a YouTube short. What was it? Hoping to see an Ezreal mid. Ezreal mid is definitely playable, but not versus mages. Mages are a big problem. Oh yeah, I did actually see that, Harold. I'm gonna play it safe and not play that on stream just because but it's very funny. Yeah, the side quest of like, oh yeah, by the way, like I'm gonna go take like place in like historical reenactments about Chinese history. Very funny. Yeah. Oh gosh, 2 best of 5 days. Oh, no joke, folks. I mean, in LPL we kind of made a habit of doing the 9 game days, and then we've got more used to the 10 game days too. We've done 10 game days for this before. But yeah, the great thing about LPL is just that the games just keep rolling, and it's one of the reasons, you know, someone asked earlier in my Discord and then in chat as well, basically, you know, why do I like casting the LPL so much? Part of it is that there are so many games. Speaking of that, we're back into the game. But there are so many games here. You always have something more to learn, always something more to do. It's about as much effort as you can do. That's a very good route. Very good route from Fengyue. Hung won't die, and it will be the 1-for-1. The route from Fengyue makes it a very deadly scenario for LGD, even with the repel potential from Y6. Can't quite use that there. Fertile. Getting that condemn onto Swian. Rolls forwards again too. Oh, interesting, he's gone for the attack speed boots. Gone for the attack speed boots and the Doran's bow rather than going for something like a steel caps. Very often top lane Vayne goes defensive boots. I think that there are definitely points where I feel like Vayne players in top lane are not optimizing their builds very well. We've occasionally seen like a flex between not just the Hexblade, but then second item actually being the Essence Reaver or the Triforce. Ult dropped on mid lane. Just flung back at him with the Roar of the Slayer. Alright, okay. I hate Vayne top. I think Vayne top is one of the most fair of the top lane AD carries, though. You're very short range. If she messes up, she dies. But you can't give her the opening, otherwise she'll duel you. Like right now, Birdle goes into the queue, finds out Fengyue. He's just dead. Just way too risky from Birdle. Flashes away, but now suddenly the Birdle is down. Flash goes and ult, as we were saying. Very flimsy champion. Ward was just pinged out there. LGD will be aware of that. And while the draft is pretty good from LGD, we just say, look, you need to survive through 2 items. You know, do you do due diligence? Vayne's going to walk out of top lane, out of base now towards top lane and lose a few minutes to that tower. In fact, Suyan's going to get himself a tower play there too, presumably. In fact, yeah, he does. Ticked over to 4 on the minimap. Hey, Uja, how's it going? Varus top is immobile. Yeah, he is, but he has range and just way more damage in a 1v2 scenario. His burst is also utterly insane. Also, he brings like a much more available CC. Cream walking up does get that hit onto tower. Tongyuan was trying to buy as much time before the tower started hitting it. We'll be able to help keep the wave alive just a little bit longer to make sure that the wave is on his side a little bit more. Tongyuan switched around with the spellbook to the ignite for the record. Wants a bit more kill threat there. Problem is now he's used his ult in that first plate. Bit of an issue there. Down about 10 CS coming out of this wave, I think, actually. Dragon started by TN and finished by TN. Damn, mid Scion. Yep, right. We had the Scion was blind picked. The Sarhen was meant to counter it. And then LGD were like, well, it doesn't counter it if we put the Vayne top. So they switched the Scion to mid, and the Vayne goes top lane. I think it's a good draft. I actually think LGD have a good draft. They have double AD carries, they have a front line. They're lacking a bit of magic damage, but there's no heavy tank on the side of top esports to really punish them for that. They should have theoretically had one neutralizing lane, two winning lanes, and then jungler which can just kind of get value out of that. Obviously, it's now even early game. Good Q there from Jackalov. Lead forwards for him. What's the deal with Spellbook on Scion? You do it in matchups where you can't actually auto-attack the enemy champion. Grubs went to the side of the Neferi, so LGD have all the Grubs, I believe. Root landing there. Fungyue having a pretty good game on the Nico so far. Last game on the Nautilus was, you know, had that one awkward flash hook into the wall. Besides that, actually a very good game from him on the whole. Those top esports, they win here. They go up against JDG, which is, yeah. I mean, that's an interesting match to Shadowbox, right? Now, as we said, Tien versus Junja, very important. Cream versus Honkyu as well. Presumably, they will be looking forward to that matchup, looking ahead to it. Top esports, if they play as they did at the start of the split, very few teams in the LPL can beat them full stop. Of course, they actually need to get there now. To that kind of level of form again. Slumped a little bit, going second off. Tibbers once again punted back at Cream. Just Songyu just trying to, you know, just wave clear as he can. Just dubstep ignites him. Yeah, fair play. Why not? Why not? Has the workings of two different items in inventory now. YCX looking for a cocoon potentially. Yeah, I'm just checking out a couple of bushes there with the Warrior Trickster. Shai going for the Hex Optics first on the Caitlyn. We've seen that a couple of times. Jackalope going standard for now. LGD top esports. You know, both these teams have been legendary at different points in their LPL careers. Bird will pop in the ult. Swian does have the ultimate as well. Where's the sun? Going towards bot lane, actually. Swian, he just gets ran down here. Oh, very close. Swian, ult for ult. Tongyuan going towards bot side. Jackalove having to flash. Tongyuan, not a bad roam there. I think top esports were, you know, a little bit worried about that Sun going top lane as well, actually, because if they had gone up towards the Zarhen, problems would definitely come through there. And that's going to be a great gank onto Birdle. No flash, doesn't have the ultimate anymore either. Tien gets the kill. Good lane gank. Vayne, now the problem is, when Vayne starts dying, Vayne is just not a useful champion. Vayne, going towards the Hex Plate, does have the Tunneler and the Phage in inventory. When Vayne starts dying, Vayne does not have the stats or the levels, because you lose farming time when you die as well, to really make a difference. Vayne is a duelist, of course, by nature. Really needs to be on top of her resource management. And while in this game, you know, I look at the enemy composition from top esports, the Wukong is probably the biggest problem you have. Wukong Annie can just destroy the Vayne before she gets anywhere. If you find the Nico isolated or the Ezreal isolated, Zarhen as well, as we've just seen, cause a ton of damage to them. Hex Opt is completed by the Caitlyn now. 1,000 gold leave to top esports after bringing down that top lane into order. Teleport coming through from Annie. This actually might be a bit far from LGD. Fungyue flashing over. It means that the dog can't get out. Hung goes too far. Good teleports from top esports, and Tonga will get himself a plate on mid, but it's a good kill there. Tian is very happy with this early game. Any kind of Triforce jungler that gets their Triforce on a good timing just feels so broken. That item, particularly on melee characters that build it, really. Although it's strong for both. But yeah, and particularly once you build up that Triforce on melee characters, because of the move speed, the all-round brawling stats it gives you, you feel so good. Because, look, as a melee brawler, particularly when you're someone like the Wukong, like, you need a couple of things. You need the HP so you don't get exploded. Well, Triforce gives you that. That's one of the reasons why Sundered Sky is so good as well. It gives you the move speed from the Phage passive. And then, of course, it gives you extra damage too from the Sheen. So if you actually get to, you know, complete it on good timing, you just feel so much more able to just rush into a play and have either the HP to shrug off the burst or the mobility to chase down a kill in which you're winning. Such a strong item. You're extra 300 HP on. If you get on top of something like a Sundered Sky as well, or a Black Cleaver that comes later, you end up with something like an extra 700 bonus HP. Birdle not nearly as far as ahead as he wanted now. If he gets hit by a W, he's actually in a bit of trouble here, and he does get hit by that. Good condemn away, though, at least. Birdle versus Weibo. I think the last couple of games of that series, I actually thought Birdle was really playing fire a bit in a bad way. It was Poppy and his Yorick in that series. I thought left a lot to be desired. Tien walking over the wall. They spot him heading there. Smite's coming through, and it does land in favor of the Wukong. Now, in the theory, very, very low again. Very good Q accuracy from Ezreal. Thank you so much for the sub there, Stoner. I appreciate you. And thank you everyone for turning back up again and going first day of LPL Plus proper. Trying to conserve my voice just a little bit and my energy. 2 best of 5 days of solo casts are, yeah, I'm sure anyone out there that co-streams these will tell you how much effort it is to try and keep yapping for that long, talk about anything really. Blue buff being taken away by Tien. Oh, you can't take that away as well. Come on, that's just mean. Tien on a very good form today. Actually getting into the enemy jungle, getting out of the early game well. CC traded for CC. Ooh, good damage there onto Tongyuan. Who actually went for the completion of the Frozen Heart. Wants to make sure that the Zion, the Wukong, don't get that much value out of it. I'm not sure Frozen Heart. I'm not sure Frozen Heart is the buy, is it? Is that really it? Tien walking towards Hung. Great damage on him there, actually. Again, Triforce strong. Smite away from Hung. So, okay, returns the favor. Had his blue buff taken away. We'll steal one back in turn. We'll get himself the Scuttle Crab as which will get him up to level 10, I think. Ooh, no. Because Tien smites that away too. Flash over. You can take my blue buff. Perhaps think about your own safety first, though. Flash for flash. Just use the not equalize. Use the Cyclone to farm the Raptors. Yeah, that's a jungler right there. Using your ultimate to increase your clear time. Yeah, nice. Decrease your clear time, I suppose. Herald is now alive. Tien, no flash, no ult. If they killed Hung, I think they would have gone straight towards it. I think that's a little bit more debatable because LGD do have presence on that part of the map. Neferi is just farming, no gang, no ult used. Yeah, I mean, I think that the fact that LGD have not really been able to bully out either bot lane or top lane to the lane level that they needed has really hurted them. Hurted them? It's hurt them. Yeah. It's hurted. It hurted. Yeah, I think that, you know, the Vayne is not noticeably ahead of the Zarhen now. The Caitlyn has done okay in terms of pushing bot lane, but nothing crazy, you know. Top lane quest has now been quieted, so he needs to be careful, and he's not careful enough. Walks in, uses that ultimate. I think he just dies anyway, though. Not enough healing. Goes down very easily. A face check leads to the death of the Zion. Herald will be finished on the other side. That's probably going to be full tower to Birdle, though. And now suddenly you start thinking about, okay, well, you know, now it's a 700 gold lead. It was about 300 before. We don't care about that. This will stretch to over 1,000 now. 1.2k. Tian and Cream taking things on the other side. Triforce makes you a very good tower killing jungler. Wukong actually very, very good at killing towers. For those of you that don't know, if you Warrior Trickster, use the clone in front of a tower, and then you press the Q, both of them end up getting a ton of damage on the tower because the clone will actually hit tower. Would you rather have a Tibbers, Yorick, or Daisy IRL? I like the Yorick Maiden. So basically in terms of the big ultimate base companions, what would you have? I mean, Daisy is probably the best, right? Or rather, I'm actually not sure. Hang on, jumping forwards again, flashing forwards, catching out the dog. The E comes through. Ezreal tips, just gets him in. That's a great Q flash from top esports AD carry. The all-star Jackie-Love lands a great kill there onto Hung. Fungaway sets it up, but look at the damage there from Jackie-Love. We did say, top esports, we can forgive some stumbles in the regular season if you get it done during playoffs, and I think they do just that. Teleport coming in from Sion now. Kind of afraid of this mid lane push. Jackie-Love, been on good form with Fungway here in this game. Second item now coming in from him. You'll have that Muramana coming through at 18 minutes. Completed at 18 minutes. That is very quick. Very often we talk about Ezreal's getting their Muramana by, what, 20 to 21 minutes often. It's within the window of, like, just before 20 minutes to just around 20, just around 22 if it's very late. 18 minutes on the Muramana is a hell of a quick transformation time. Now, it won't cut through the Sion completely, right? As the Frozen Heart is going to need himself a lot more damage before really starts to kill the Sion. Cloud Dragon now started LGD. They kind of lost around objectives in the last game, if anything else as well. They lost it for a lot of reasons, but big problems that we've had today have been with our Nirvana group teams just not able to contest the objectives the way that they wanted to. Walking over the traps there. Swian into the backline. Sion pops the ult 2, trying to buy some space for that Q channel. Gets a decent amount. Bertle goes very, very low, though, and it feels like the Vayne has kind of been shut out of the fight. Swian jumping forward, trying to stack that passive. Gets a cocoon onto him. We full CC'd with a Q afterwards. Fungway tanking up the ultimate from the Caitlyn. No one's died yet. The HP, if anything, is slightly in favor of LGD, but they have position on the Dragon. Hung does have ultimates. But with Tibbers and the Cyclone still available, that gets quite scary. Dragon taken by top esports, hard earned. That's the third dragon, a threat of soul later. Wait. Petition to rename Stolen Annual by Silas Fibbers. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, that's great. Yeah, that one's approved. That one is approved. That is an incredible Q, by the way. That is very, very hard to hit. Very good accuracy from that. Well, Swian caught out on bot side now. There is an ultimate available onto him, and I think he's just going to die here. The Eclipse is too much damage to a CC. Swian, not a bad team fight beforehand, despite the fact that there wasn't really kills for him to benefit from that. Goes down again. Feeling not great there. The clone comes out. Shaya way out of position. You can't position like that on a Caitlyn. No mid turret, no hope. Tien pops out of invisibility, takes down Shaya. 1.2k behind now. The Caitlyn was meant to, smash the game. Not necessarily been able to do much of that. Had one or two moments in the early lane where it felt like it's getting good damage out. Struggling now, though. ADC getting caught in mid lane, tale as old as time. It's definitely a place which AD carriers do like to stand, and they do like to die there a little bit. Well, maybe that one's a bit more debatable. Blastcone plays great. Season walk up too far. Gets the red buff on him. Trap tries to stop someone getting a melee range, and doesn't really achieve that. Very good play from Tien. He's, as we said, been on good form so far. Cloud Soul's nasty on top esports. It's particularly good on Nico, I find, actually. Because particularly Nico support. You press your R button, you just take off. Very hard to run away from that ultimate at that point. Losers out? No, there is a lower bracket. There is a lower bracket. So loser of this will face against TT. Then on the other side of the bracket, we've got anyone's Legend EDG tomorrow and BLGWE. Bertel pops the ultimate. Swian, not that happy here. He's just going to get ran down. Stormrazor, ultimate buffed up by the Hex Plate. Swian thought he got himself a counter matchup into the side. Instead, no. Nay, it is I who have countered you, says Bertel. 1.5k up now. That dive on bot lane and that kill solo in the side lane has really set him up for success. You know, Swian had a pretty good last dragon fight, as we were saying. Bought a lot of space, as chat has noted already. But now Bertel going for the Stormrazor after the Hexplate means you just chase down the Zion. There's no way you can run from you. What happened to this Vayne? I feel like she should be 2k up. Well, she's close to that now. Very close to the kill from Jackie onto Shaya. Can Bertel do enough with this Vayne pick, though? Methinks not. Methinks not. Methinks the Cyclone takes the head off of Bertel. Methink he Guan die in the team fights to the Wukong. Thunder Sky after as well. So yeah, Tian's got himself like the bonus 700 HP or whatever between the two items. Baron up and alive. Dragon in a minute. As noted again by people in chat. By the way, I do scout in chat for, you know, what you're chatting about, and sometimes you come up with some good analytical points. I think the Cloud Soul for this team in particular in this kind of draft makes a lot of sense, particularly the Wukong and the Nico trying to land that CC, but Zahen always kind of gated by his move speed. If they get Soul here, it's a big loss for LGD. Zahen's going to teleport out, actually, because he's getting collapsed on the side lane. 50 seconds now until Dragon comes in. Teleport from, who'd that be? The Scion. Protects the mid lane turret. Use the roll quest teleport. Oh no, he doesn't. He's got W. He's not a top laner. He's a mid laner. Of course he doesn't. It's like, oh, he's got a shield. He's got a W, Alex. Of course he does. Spirit Visage, in fact, buffing that up. So he's got Frozen Heart, Spirit Visage. I like this from Tongaman, by the way, in terms of him not going for a wave clear item. Just going for full tankiness. Makes a lot of sense here, I think. I think Dragons is going to be taken for free if LGD can't work their way into River. One last reset. A Shojin for Jackie Love. Yeah, that'll do nicely. He has 2 cloth armors in inventory. Zahen pushing in from the side lane. Well, the mid, which is the side lane to the Dragon, I suppose. Dragon started up. Now, might come down to a smite fight. Swian does have ultimate again. Does have flash. Needs to be careful though. YCX spots him out. Now the problem is if YCX is spotting him there, it means he's not throwing cocoons anywhere else in the fight, which is actually a bit of an issue for LGD. Q's coming through. He gets taken by Caitlyn. Good burst there from LGD. Fungui goes in, gets the CC down. It's not bad from the Cyclone either. Bertel goes down, so the Vayne is out of the picture. Cream is quite low. Oh, YCX and Cream do a bit of an alley-oop. One flash is one way, one flash is the other. I think the fight is just very clearly going in top Esports' favor. They don't get the Dragon, but they'll get almost everything else. It's a triple kill for Swian, who's been getting a bit of the butt of the joke this game. He's not really been able to play out the champion the way he wanted to. A quadra kill for Swian. He might chase down for the Penta. Swian, coming onto top Esports this year to replace 369, is looking for a Penta kill versus LGD. Won't quite be able to get it. Shield goes on though. Swian actually might be able to chase him down. The slow lands though from the roll of the Slayer. Still very, very close. He's toying with him. Looks to the execute and will get it. Only the quadra for Swian, but I don't think he'll care that much. Now, Swian, a player who initially debuted on the same roster as Vampire, actually, back in IG 2024. Sorry, it wasn't the debut roster for Vampire, but he was on this. He was debut on IG 2024. Came in when YSKM, or You Should Know Me, was suffering quite a lot, and Swian played quite poorly during that split in summer 2024. Only played, I think it was 6 best of 3s for the team, but enough for me to consider him a debutant here in the LPL. Took him 2 years to claw back to relevance, and the alley-oop here. Oh, yeah, nasty. YCX very nearly catching Cream. Both flash at the same time. End up going over each other's heads. But yeah, Swian, a player who's clawed his way back up to relevance. Back in 2024, he was a guy who was just kind of playing tanks, maybe 1 or 2 carries, but he was a big, you know, he just played like Skarn top, which was meta at the time, and the Cassante. Didn't really have much option to play for himself. Now he has done a top Esports. Top Esports have given him so much room in draft. I couldn't be happier for him as a player who's, of course, coming to step into mighty big shoes. Just funny, actually steals that big wolf. That's kind of crazy. But yes, mighty big shoes of 369, who we're not sure is going to be playing again now. I'm not sure what's going to happen with 369. I think the incidents with Nymaera might have broken the spirit of 369 a little bit. Tried to go out and defend him quite well. Jacula a bit forced forwards there. Does have the barrier burning down with the bleed. TN walking forwards. So he very nearly kills him there. Forces the flash out. Doesn't have to pull the Cyclone at all. Tower goes down. Bot lane inner turret. LGD down 5k. It's felt like, even though this was a more creative draft, the execution just not there. Jacula, incredible on the Ezreal. Tian Gred on the Wukong again. In terms of player of the game so far, probably is between Tian and Jacula, one of those two. Take your pick, really. See if any big play happens at the end of the game to flip it one way or the other. Jump forwards onto Tian there. Well, this is maybe not so great onto him. Goes forwards for that Cyclone. I think he's just going to die here. Too far forwards. Good pick off by LGD on to Tian, that all-important jungler. 2 minutes till Dragon. It's not like they can start up Injective in the meantime. Now, typically, someone like a Wukong actually pretty good to split push with the Baron buff. Not right here, though. Gets shut down. Is Viper back for playoffs? Yes. Viper traveled back to Korea to get some medical assistance for his finger, which had been hurting. Kind of been hurting pretty bad, too, actually. And especially if you're esports player, I can imagine that being a big problem. You know, for myself, you know, I play games on my PC and consoles and stuff all the time. But then also I'm a guitarist as well. Just having any sort of, when you spend that much time around, it's -1 for Birdle. We all notice that. Once you're around, once you have a hobby or something which is a large part of your life which focus on using wrists, hands, elbows, anything which is like an intricate joint, you really notice how much you use them when something goes wrong with a joint or something delicate. You know, when you've had like rotator cuff injuries or RSI onto carpal tunnel, tennis elbow is a big one too. You know, particularly once you start getting out, even when you are in your young 20s and stuff like that, it can still hurt you. So imagine how it gets eventually when you start, you know, getting a little bit older as well, and your body is a little bit less receptive to that kind of quick healing. Do players ensure their hands like surgeons? Yes, some do. Depends on the player. In the West, I don't think so. Maybe. In the East, yeah, Faker's wrists are they're like insured for millions. They're insured for millions, you know. And StarCraft players, I guess the problem that they had was, in StarCraft, you were expected to get carpal tunnel syndrome after playing so much, because if your APM was like 400 APM, which it could be in StarCraft, you're still young in your 30s? Yes, you are. Yeah, no, for sure. In fact, I'm hitting 30 in the month, which is, you know, questions about my mortality, I guess. XTM just gets hit by the Caitlyn up by doubling it the wrong way. Flash force. Oh my god, the double shot to Birdle! Almost one shot. Very nearly burning down. Swian gets himself that passive up and active. They'll kill Sion and very, very nearly one shot the next target in as well. That's another kill onto Shaya. Top Esports have decided this game is somewhat over. Walking forwards, one more Q will do it. Double kill to Tien, but Swian pulls the trigger. Mighty fine there. Top Esports just jump forwards and slaughter the first two targets. Birdle might look for the condemned. Jack needs to be careful a little bit, jumping or walking too far backwards towards that wall. Inhib turret goes down. I don't think they'll even look for the soul. They might just look for the game here. Well, we've got 3 dead. 15 seconds left on YCX. Jumping forwards. Birdle gets stunned up, and he'll die. Great burst coming through from Top Esports. Tower shot. I think they'll kill Jack 11. No. Can't quite get another skill shot out in time. Top Esports. 28 minutes was the timer of that last game. It's not too much longer in game 2. Just under 31 minutes. Top Esports blast their way to an early start. 2-0 up in the series. Very confident here. Okay, hello and welcome back into game number 3. Top esports incredibly dominant in this series so far. Swian looking to abuse, of course, this Olaf early game, but he's once again been flexed around. We did see that top esports, their drafts have been a bit meh when Swian can't get himself the counter pick value. Skarner support with a Ziggs. This is very much a survive lane, do something elsewhere. This bot lane was kind of picked up just to make sure that the matchups were better somewhere else on the map. Does Skarner support go Halo Blades? He used to, because it gave him the attack speed to get his passive rolling. He used to go out in top lane, I believe, at some points too. The Halo Blades had a lot of changes recently, using more damage on auto attack rather than just the raw attack speed value. Not bad trading there from Swain onto Birdall, actually. Oops. I'm gonna look at the patch notes for it actually. Yeah, it got changed. So the attack speed is still there, but it's less attack speed than it was. Oh, well, YCX might have just found out the hard way that Skarner can't get away from the Seraphine in the way that I thought it did, actually. The root comes through, instant death. The Skarner support, look, I like the drafts. I actually think that they're good for getting matchups elsewhere. I just don't think you can do that versus top esports, particularly against top esports bot lane, where the goal is to, you know, survive and give them a good matchup. I think that's too much. Tongyuan wearing Zeka's skin, actually. Zeka's skin from 2022 DRX. What is that emote? Grab the belt? Oh, God. Cream taking a good chunk of damage out of Tongyuan. Potential triple play here onto mid lane. Hung is spotted now. There's that W coming through. Good flash away from Cream. Tight in the top side. York needs another Q. I don't think he's going to get to it. And the counter matchup goes wrong. Swian with a kill in his lane. This happened to Birdall last time on the Yorick as well. Against Breathe and his Cassante. This is not the first time where Birdall has been given a counter pick matchup and it just hasn't worked out. That's very distressing for LGD. Birdall is not able to pay off the draft debt he has incurred. You know, that basically he's been given a ton of resources to try and make the most out of a matchup. He's just not done very well with it. Dark Procession comes in, gets the auto attack reset, I believe, on that actually, and just walks in. He's even a level down. I mean, the thing about the Yorick is that you're meant to have more sustain than the Olaf in a lot of ways, right? Because you have that Q, and if you take short trades, works very well for the Yorick. Just can't get away from that. There you go. Better that time at getting away from the E. That's how it's meant to work anyway. Apparently not quite as easy as that. And we'll manage to go in for a little bit of damage on that first strike. Managed to land the double E on the way back. Flash and heal away from Feng Yue, but they're not too displeased to just take time out of Hung's day. Shinzao is here now too. If they'd landed that E, that would have been death, actually. YCX likely would have died again. Jacklef taking some damage on the return. Oh, jumping forwards is Tongyuan. Horse's ult for ult. Cream gets himself away with a bit of Asteroids arcade gameplay. Fly off of one end of the screen, appear on the other. Dragon now started from TN. Bot lane control is enough. Really worried though for LGD. Like, you can't afford to fall behind in this kind of matchup in top lane. Hung walking over the first strike, of course. Jace jungle is going to come out of the woodwork again for LPL. Even though the Q lost something like 30 damage on every monster bonus damage. So the Q on both sides, it was the big one where it used to do an extra 30 damage to monsters on both sides of it, both ranged and melee, which meant that your full clear speed was really hit, because they're both AoE, because then suddenly you're hitting, like, you know, raptors with 6 targets, or Krugs over the course of it. If you hit both ranged and melee onto most of them, you're losing hundreds of damage across the entire camp, and seconds of clear time. Jace used to be very, very quick at clearing jungle, which was the big thing for him. Hung doing his best, though. You know, the thing about the Jace is, and the reason why it is cropping up again more, is that once you get rid of all of the early pressure junglers, you have different win conditions enabled, right? Because when you have invading junglers, your win condition is, alright, gonna get into the enemy jungle, make a mess of them. Now, typically the Xin Zhao should be okay at that, but his AD build got a little bit nerfed to give him more scalings towards AP. That's a fun build, it is, but it does mean that the AD variety of Xin Zhao is slightly less good. Especially within pro parameters anyway. Cream no flash. Y6, I don't really think he can do much here while he's got W up, can he? Cream trying to hold his way for as best as he can, for as long as he can. Tungren eating forwards for a Q. You'll notice a lot of Akali players want to do that. Ghost popped there, not bad. Damage onto Bertle, flashing forwards again. Bertle doesn't have to flash himself for a few seconds. The Q healing is pretty good. It will end up being a 1-for-1. Swian committing the summoners 1-for-1. Who is that worth? Well, teleport back up from this is actually from Shaya teleporting towards top lane, actually, to catch that wave. Swian and Bertle getting a kill. I mean, that's better for Bertle, I think, although he does lose the ult cooldown, which is a long cooldown. That double shock blast from Hung will activate the first strike. How do we get Skarner support and Jace jungle? Because the Olaf came in to counter the Jace, and LGD wanted to remove it from the matchup. They did a similar thing by playing Sion mid last game to make sure there was a Vayne top lane into a tank instead. Cream not getting the best trades here on the Aurora, actually. Grubs go down in favor of LGD, and I'm very, very quickly leave it alone in the stream for just 30 seconds while I pick up my coffee from the other room. Okay, did anyone else die? Don't think anyone else died, did they? Wait, what did I miss? Oh my god, did I miss something big? Oh, for God's sake, are you kidding me? Oh, you started to go. No, 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 don't you bait me in chat. Are you kidding? Wait, did I actually miss something? I missed a horrendous play? No! I'm glad I missed that. Wait, does that actually get Hung killed? Oh, that's actually a really good save. What do you mean? I missed something incredible. I missed something incredible is what happened. Huh? I swear, I have a coffee on the brew in the other room because it's, you know, it's a long day with two best of fives getting up early for this. Oh, that's an incredible save. Are you kidding me? Top Esports are 1.5k ahead. Y6 misses the wall stun. Everything goes wide. Some fancy feet from Swian. I very much try not to do that. And I thought, oh, surely nothing will happen there. Clearly I was wrong. Dark Procession there. Ooh, hang on. The actually not landing. The Maiden's back up against Swian. Really wanted to take that trade before the Maiden came back up. There's actually a bit of an issue here now. And consider the Shock Blast lands. That's a bit of a problem. He might still kill him anyway. So close. Can't quite get the kill. Hung saves his top laner's life. Wait, look at Xiaoya. I see he has a... Wait, I didn't see... Oh, I didn't see what Xiaoya did in the entirety of that play. I was too focused on Swian's sidesteps there. Very good sidesteps there. Again, I appreciate everyone for filling me in on what happened on chat there. Appreciate you all. Jackie doing quite well at pushing the advantage on bot lane. 800 gold ahead. Tien now against Birdle. Now, Birdle, we did say, look, he's not really paid off the draft debt he's incurred, because he called for this pick, you know. It allows Jace to survive, yes, but it allows him to, you know, not be in an awful matchup of that Olaf and top lane. Chose something he thought would do better in Swip. It's not necessarily been that easy, though, has it? Oh, don't double gank him. No, this is mean. No, when he hits Axe onto the wave, they just kill him now. Svian doesn't have ult, does have Ghost. He just dies, though. Great double gank. Hung sticks around in topside, and you know, after watching Hung for a couple of years between like Team WE and then LGD now as well. Oh, the ult lands and the Scorpion's pulled out of his exit. Nope, you got to stick around for 1 or 2 more songs. The encore has been called. He'll die to a last auto attack. Great ult from Fengyue and combo from Cream. But yeah, Hung in topside, really doing his best to try and support Birdle there now. Shai is now going to walk towards topside. There's a great amount of time on tower from Birdle, who has that Sheen. Might even be able to full kill it with the Maiden, actually. Now, Hung, he's been a journeyman jungler here, right? Like, sticking around for the long term. Did take a split off, I want to say. No, sorry, a full year, in fact, because it was Monkey that ended up replacing him towards the end. And then he ended up on OMG for a bit. Now, I've always thought that he was, you know, fine. A good jungler. No, very admirable in what he does for his team. Was a bit of a Mundo player. You know, came to like help out LGD, I suppose, after I think it was Sassy and Climber, their top jungle, which were they were struggling, shall we say. And I think on the whole, he's been a positive. Now, LGD, like we said, they've been volatile. They've been up and down, jumping forwards. Cream looking for the kill. Very, very close. Flash away, flying in with the E. The W snipes him out the air. And that's magnificent. I mean, that's what happens when you charge into a pike line, folks. I think Alexander the Great's got a thing or two to say about that one. That was so good from Tien. That is genuinely one of the better Tien, one of the best. That is genuinely one of the best Xin Zhao Ws I've ever seen. Trying to get that on the perpendicular angle is really hard. Getting the timing right is absurdly difficult. Jumping into topside now, has flash and has ultimate, has the Sundered Sky. What are we doing there? Tien has ult. Might just burst out. Hung trying to get the kill here. Can maybe get the last auto attack. Gets it. You know what? Credit to him. Not bad, Tien. Goes into the 1v3. Forces a flash out of YCX2. Tien's Xin Zhao is pretty damn good. This has been a fun game. This has been fun. Now, top esports are still up a good amount of gold. Jackie Lovers are going to be very far ahead of Xiaoya, who's struggled to get that much value on the Ziggs. But I'm not sure I'm loving Xiaoya on this Ziggs pick. I can't remember him having much of a history on it. I'll have a quick check, actually. Xiaoya, how many times you played the Ziggs here, buddy? This is his first ever Ziggs game. Could have fooled me. Okay, YCX not gonna be stopped from going through that wall. Yeah, I believe this is Xiaoya's. Hang on, let me just check on Leaguepedia, see if there's anything else there. But yeah, could have fooled me. Ah, poo! I'm typing on the wrong keyboard again because I got 2 in front of me. Xiaoya, where are you? I think Xiaoya would have preferred to be on something a bit more comfortable for himself, sadly. No, the first game of his career on the Ziggs. He did just first time Ziggs to it with a Skarner support, man. Look, I know it actually played a game and won over at LCK. I know it actually has some legit applications, and I actually think the draft here from LGD, I see the angle. You're meant to buy yourself a winning top lane matchup and survive to have that Jace in a good spot too. Because the Jace jungle can be quite powerful. But then with the Skarner locked in, I was like, well, you know, is that really you know, is that worth kind of flinging into support? Feels like there's a lot of people who are not that familiar with their champions. Now, of course, Herald started up. Tien, no flash, has himself Crescent Guard. Herald's going to reset. Olaf could teleport into the play. I think he has his role quest teleport. He's going to stick on bot side instead. Does he have his role quest TP? Yeah, he does. So he could teleport up with a top lane role quest. They're going to give it up. Allow Olaf to take bot turret. Yorick is going to walk down here. Technically, they could teleport up and have a 5v4. They take half of the bot lane turret. And they'll choose to bide their time. How many games is YCX on Skarner? I'm going to imagine none. Now, YCX in the play-in series was really, really good. Today, I think he's been a little bit more cold. Struggling to have that same value. Shock Blast just going wide on Jackie, love that. 20 seconds till Dragon. Top Esports, it would be their third. Hey, if someone wants to comment in chat, that's alright. That's alright. I actually quite enjoy watching prediction type in chat. He's got some good takes. Herald charged onto mid lane. Ziggs will be able to kill that with a satchel now. Satchel there for the full turret kill. Ziggs, a bit more golden pocket for him now. Dragon now spawned. LGD, can they get themselves a good objective fight? Hard ask, really. Stridebreaker in from Swiam. Oh, Feng Yue had to force. Oh my god, the damage! Where did all that come from? Feng Yue flashes away. That was an insane amount of damage. Very, very quickly in. Did not expect that at all. Not one bit. Good zone control from LGD. Feng Yue is going to have to recall on top esports. They're going to have to back off of 2 objective fights in a row. The Herald and now the Dragon. LGD win themselves 2 objectives back to back. That is good going for them. They have 3 grubs. They had the Herald used. Took down mid turret. Dragon is now theirs as well. And now they started getting to the point where they have Ziggs Jace as a double poke combo. This was very popular in 2023 when you'd have Ziggs Jace in mid and bot lane. Technically, he inflicts them around. No one really played Ziggs mid lane at that point. And you'd have it with some kind of CC jungler like the Maokai. Han gets hit by the W. He has flash. He's waiting a little bit long to wait for it. Knocker comes through. Not even an ultimate or a flash needed from top esports. A late flash from Han gets himself killed. I mean, we're talking about him being actually, you know, pretty good jungler, actually. Good journeyman. Right there. Expect more out of the fairly long-term player here in the LPL. Shea missing that. Ult goes wide, though, onto him. Well, hang on a second. Satchel a bit wide there, too. Or on a bad angle, rather. Jackalope, if he hits that, probably is a dead Ziggs, actually. Luden's just got that tier for mana, not going for the Seraphs. Not loving Shea's Ziggs. Not loving it. Jackalope on the other side on the Ash has been farming up. Storm is up a healthy 35 CS, a little above that. Dude, I mean, that I kind of wanted to see a replay of that dragon fight because Akali did some mad damage in a very short amount of time. Wasn't quite expecting that much damage onto ye olde Seraphine. Watch a back catch on my own replay here. See what happened. Birdle going to take bot lane turret. This is a much better game from LGD. Now, they're actually getting some inroads in terms of gold. They're not getting completely blown out of it. Potential fight on the bot side. Dragon now. Bot side jungle, rather. Feng Yue is not going to get so lucky this time, soloed out. However, Hung is killed on the other side. Tien takes the jungler out of the picture. Uses the Yorick as a bit of an escape route. It'll be a 1-for-1. Not bad, actually, for top esports, given how I thought how poorly that was going, actually. Teleport towards top lane now. Gonna replay again now. Oh, this was the bot side jungle fight, of course, right. Good wall stun from YCX, actually leads directly to the death of Feng Yue there. Ult's a little bit too much. There was no flash on that on the Seraphine. I don't think you had to use your own ult. That could be quite useful in the next minute or so. Dragon up in 2 minutes now. There's a Protoplasm Harness in from YCX, so he has himself a decent tank item on the support Skarner. Has Flash for the next fight. He'll want to hold on to that one quite greedily. If you can use that for a big ult, that could be game-changing. What happens if you drag, 3 people into a Ziggs Q and ult? Pretty much death, unless it's a Shinzo with an ult or left with a immunity to see. Okay, there are targets we should ignore it in the right situations, Oh, gosh. Great call from Tien to go for the 1v1 purely onto Shinzo there. I completely agree. Yep, I think that Tien has been very good at target access in this game. Been very aware of how safe he can be, how much damage he can do. Has the 2 items, not that Jace doesn't. Tien in a pretty strong spot on ye olde Shinzhao. Yao. Skipan. Did NPC voice lines ever come to you from various video games from your childhood? Yeah, me too. Age of Mythology up there. Alright, Dragon in under a minute. Toppies was looking for their third. Got denied the last one after LGD had a very good Herald into bot lane Dragon contest. They ended up having 2 within the same minute or 2, actually. Age of Empires 2? was that the villager spawning sound? Yeah. Good stuff. Cream walking onto YCX, half the HP from the Skarner down, does have the Protoplasm Harness. That's the Conqueror stacked up, puts the ult through, Birdle has Flash. I don't think he's getting away from the Olaf though, trying to walk him around, healing's not bad, Flash away. I don't think he'll need the ultimate, it's close as hell, and Ziggs goes whiffing on the ults. Elan from Tongue to Tien, trying to get some opening it. Tungman doesn't have the E now. Cream will fly back over it. Tungman does have the ult away, but that is the ult down on the Akali. Birdle dies. Suyan gets the kill there. And the Akali ultimate is a big tool gone. Ziggs no ultimate either. LGD have to give up this objective. I just don't get what Shia's doing with these ults. Should have been able to get that kill onto Suyan. At the very least. And Shia has now gone for the Seraph Embrace as well. Surprised at the item build. Alright, doubly landing onto Shia. It's gonna be half the hit. It might even be more than half the HP gone. Shock Blast back onto Fungway makes a difference. Brostagma. Exactly! Oh, Age of Mythology. Great NPC voice lines. Ettimi. Vulame. Erthos. Oh, good stuff. Hey, they were good voice lines. Back in the day, we cared about NPC voice lines. Imagine if a minion had a voice line now in League of Legends. You'd care about it more. Tien runs the map. Tien's been running the whole series, man. Tien has been very, very good in this series. His Wukong was exceptional. Game 1 really felt like he was running the show as well on the Trundle. Tien, great series from him. And this is why, look, bring it back to the bigger picture. Top Esports, when they announced the roster changes, Nio and Fungway had done a pretty good job actually in Split 1. But Jachi left, Jackalev came back, Tien came back to replace Nio, 369 took a step back because, there's a whole lot to be said about that. The expectation for me on Top Esports is, look, they might take a regular season to break back in the veterans who had taken a split off. As long as you turn up for playoffs, I'm happy with this team. Now, this is Series 1, but it does look like Tien having a good start, much like he had a good start in regular season. The big test will be next round against JDG if they win this series. Now, Suyan is a level up on... No, sorry, he's level down on Birdle. Actually, doesn't have the level 16 just yet. Dragon spawning in a little while, so that's not the object of desire here. Hey, thank you so much for the raid there, pal. Really appreciate you. Thank you so much. How was your stream? We could be into our last game of the day here. We've had 2 best of 5s here on LPL. We started off with JDG dropping a game to TT. Things got a bit hairy for them there, and then they turned up around objectives, and particularly Honkyu just mashed poor Haru in mid lane. So Honkyu, good series from him earlier. Hey, Macario in the raid there too. Appreciate you all. Appreciate you all. I'll keep it in mind, and I'll try and raid back to you when I next have the opportunity as well. Now, we've had some strange drafts in this series. LGD, they've not been good players compared to Top Esports. They've definitely been outplayed in lane and then in team fights, but their drafts have been fun. We saw a Sion mid to allow for a Vayne top lane, so they flexed the Sion out of top lane away from Azaha and allowed the Vayne into that matchup. It didn't work, but the idea was actually pretty good. Then in this game, you look down the draft here as well. Yeah, we got a Skarner support, and the Jace has gone into jungle, so that's been flexed around to allow this Yorick into top lane. That one hasn't worked nearly so well. Appreciate the follows in the raid, though. It really does help help us keep the stream live. So you went... Oh, wait, you've gone from, like, 3 different people raiding over? Well, yeah, we're literally going to have, like, one last game here, too, probably, unless Toppy is what slip up. So, I don't know. Shout out who you want to raid to next, I guess. Got 3 items coming in for Jackulev's gone for the Bloodthirster, interestingly. You don't always see this from the AD carry, but it makes a lot of sense here. Now, funnily enough, reminds me of a Ashe build. This is a deep cut. Now, I used to cast Japanese League of Legends, and Utapon, one of my favorite players of all time. He built Ashe with Seraphine Barrier, and his support was a, I think, a Sona at that point. It might have been the Seraphine as well. And they basically went for Spirit Visage Ashe, where all the heals and shields would get an extra 10% on them. So Ashe wouldn't do a lot of damage, but she would have an infinite HP bar and would never die. Spirit Visage Ashe from Utapon. It was around 2021, I want to say maybe 2022. God, what a funny game. It's also like, you know, just ADHD brain, which like remembers the most random things from across history. I can probably quote you off the back of my hand everything which happened in 2020 LGL, because I was so locked in for that split. This is my first split as a procaster. I have very fond memories of that. Same with a lot of 2023 LPL. LGD versus Rare Atom, I believe, was my first ever cast in LPL. That was when Rare Atom had a cube in top lane. LGD, they were playing with Xiao Hao and ZDZ in top lane and jungle. Well, Xiao Hao and ZDZ just re-promoted back into Group Ascend. LGD doing the same here, of course, by beating Weibo. It's funny what you remember, though, from those splits where you were just around the start and you were really locking in and try and prove a point, you know? Old. Don't call me old. I mean, I am 30 at the end of the month. Old compared to some, young compared to many others. 30 years young, we'll call it. Dragon now in 22nd stop esports, looking for the Infernal Soul. Now, actually, they were struggling quite a lot with objective setup beforehand, but Cream having an excellent game on the Aurora. Probably been my player of the game so far, actually. Gets a great chunk onto Hung, and I don't think they can approach this now. It's very difficult for them to. I mean, the Skarner is not really a tank, it's a support Skarner. Hung is going to have to get some great poke in. If Cream gets another good chunk, like right there, it's not bad onto Tongyuan. It's a problem. Good chunk back onto Fungway. It takes the Zigzalt. But that's a win for them. Tongyuan starting to close the jaw shut. Fungway knows this, does have flash, does have heal. You can't walk into those Ziggs bombs though. Tien onto the strike flash forward. Tongyuan kills him before he can get the encore off. They knew he was there and they couldn't do anything about it. Tien alone now in the river. YTS gets himself the ultimate, but not before he dies. Cream, can he save himself to play? The Infernal Soul went over to Top Esports. Burno will go down and Top Esports clutch it out. A Ragnarok and a roll forwards in the mid lane. I think Carly is instead feeling the blues, as LGD might just be getting swept here. In fact, I think they're very much getting swept. The Infernal Soul is going to lead through to the turret here as well. The Baron is likely started. Top Esports, and particularly Cream, saves that fight. Now, I think that Tien staying alive to get the smite was crucial, but really it's been on Cream making the most of that approach. Now, Tongyuan tried his best to kill the Encore, gave them something to work with. But Cream was the big difference maker there, jumping away from the W, looking for the one shot. Won't quite get it. It's close, though. The Seraph Shield blown, and there's another Ashe Arrow wide, actually. Flashing forwards for the Q, forces the flash out of Xiaoya. Tien now caught in River. He's trying to get some Sundered Sky healing. Will die for the second time this game. 5-2 now for Tien. LGD getting a bit scrappy with it, trying to find some gaps in the armor of Top Esports. They find 1 or 2, but not before the Infernal Soul and the Baron go the other way. Cream de la Cream. Yeah, we can call it that. Yeah. I'd co-sign that. But yeah, thank you once again, pal, for the raid. I'll raid back to you when I get the chance. Appreciate it. And McCarry as well, we raided up to them earlier as well. I hope all your streams were great. So this was the play again, where the Zigzag gets a decent amount of work. The Shock Blast probably doing a little more of that. Tongyuan was spotted here. Just doesn't matter. But what does he do after this point? Gets the Infernal Soul. You know, the Smite comes through and the Infernal Soul comes after, and he's lost half his HP. Last auto attack and last bit of damage comes through from Cream, pressing the ult on YCX. He's not had a great series today. His series versus Weibo was genuinely quite important right here, though. Not nearly the same. Suyan had the Ghost on, had the ultimate, could walk forwards and make sure you could just confirm that kill. Suyan, now 3 items, Stride Breaker, Death Stance. He's kind of hit critical mass. Once Olaf hits this kind of level, this kind of amount of items, you just don't kill him quick enough. You just don't kill him quick enough. He heals through if he ever starts hitting you, and you die. You die. Okay. Shock Blast. Not bad onto Jackalov, but reminder he does have Bloodthirster, so we can heal up a fair amount from that. Cream pushing into mid lane. Shaya very nearly dies to Cream, in fact. He's had a very good Aurora game. He's one of the best Auroras on the in the planet right now. In the planet? In the world, on the planet. You know, words. Hey, Andrew, how's it going? Yep, this will be a 3-0. YCX, very nearly killed by the Infernal Storm. Tien turns things back on Sehung. He goes into the enemy base. He might be rewarded for it. Ultimate comes out from Tungman. Still has R2. Things can get a little bit scrappy on the other side as Suyen chases down for another kill there. Not bad from Tungman, but he doesn't get enough done either. Goes into the 1v3. The Encore was looking respectively into the shadows. YCX misses and whiffs the ults. I think Top Esports will lead us off to a very quick series. 28 minutes, about 30 minutes, and this one's going to be just over 32 minutes as well. Top Esports, very calm and collected here. Smash LGD down to the lower bracket, and they will face JDG for the good old Top Esports JDG Rumble. One of the greatest matchups in terms of history here in the LPL in the next round. Tomorrow we got BLG playing